With the key of imagination, beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Don NICOLEONE Show.
Oh yeah, y'all already know what time it is. The moment that you've been waiting for, the one that you've been waiting to hear, the one that calls the text. Put your hands together for the baddest bitch in El Cologne. God, NICOLEONE.
Cologne. I'm in the love of the all, and all love is in me. I am a part of the all, and the all is a part of me. I am one with the all, and the all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of the all and fail as an individual. I can be all that I wish in the all as long as my wish is to stay in the all. I'm never alone. The all is, I am. The all can, I can. The all does, I do. Cologne.
All right, God dog, we're going to get this shit together once and for all. I will not be distracted tonight off of frivolous. Shit. Oh my God, it's the sugar, yo. It's the fucking Jolly Ranchers, the little chewable motherfuckers I'm strung out on, man. I know my daughters know I'm a crackhead too, so I'm a sugar addict. Cause it was some nanas that bought the shit. Oh shit, now sick. Come on in, baby. Give me my check.
Mic check, mic check.
Yeah. How you doing?
You got jokes. I'm well in yourself.
You saw my post.
Yeah, that's what made me call back in.
All right, so we're going to do it right this time. Y'all ready?
Ready.
We're going to do it right. But I want you to do the promise, Guru.
All right.
I want you to start it off. Do our promises for us. And then we'll take it from,
Take it from there.
Yes. So you can do the beginning. Yeah. All right, wait. Just in case, because I always think about the record. If once the show is recorded, motherfuckers like, what the fuck are they about to do? So let me set it straight. This is actually part 2 of a show that we didn't complete in part 1 for tonight's show. So part 1 is entitled "Gone, Done, Babylon." And so this is the real 9 NUBUN guys, and just to let everybody know, this is at 1:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I believe it'll be Tuesday morning on the East Coast, and it's still Monday, New Day on the West Coast. And thank everybody for being up, because I see a lot of West Coast numbers on the call lines. I shouldn't really thank you, West Coast motherfuckers, because hell, it's still early for you niggas. So, but goddamn, I should be thanking I should be giving thanks to all the East Coast motherfuckers, okay? Big ups to you, staying alive. All right, and also to my nigga too. Appreciate it, baby. All right, so we about to get into the 9 NUBUN guides. That's coming from the 9-Ball Liberation Information Book, Count 4. Let's run it. Ready?
The 9 NUBUN guide. Number 1. In this booklet, we NUBUN scientists will only take the space to outline the 9 NUBUN guides instead of detailing them. The 9 NUBUN guides are those word formulas of motivation and activation which propel NUBUNs to success individually and as a race. In other words, any NUBUN who has the durability and intelligence to adhere to the word formulas called the 9 NUBUN guides will survive through the ages and be successful. In paragraphs 8 and 9 of count 1, we mentioned that the words Ethiopian and NUBUN mean the same. A NUBUN is a woolly-haired Ethiopian. So when we state NUBUN, we mean a person or persons with genuinely woolly hair, meaning genuinely kinky hair. Number 2, the 9 NUBUN guides are: number 1, I promise to preserve self at all times to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 2, I promise to have sexual relations with no one but the opposite sex of my own kind. Number 3, I promise to eat and drink only those gases, liquids, and solids which will be more beneficial than harmful to my mental and physical selves to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 4, I promise to be a NUBUN first to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability, then whatever else I wish to be. Number 5, I promise to advocate 9 knowledge and adhere to 9 knowledge, best of my scientific information, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Let's read that one more time. Number 5, I promise to advocate 9 knowledge and to adhere to 9 knowledge to the best of my scientific information, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 6, I promise to treat peoples of other races the same way that they treat me to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 7, I promise to uphold justice and rightness at all times to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 8, I promise I will fight hard for liberation and freedom for the NUBUN race. And when it is liberated and free, I will work just as hard to keep our liberty and freedom preserved to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability. Number 9, consequently, I promise that before my physical death, I will arrange for my lifeless body to be cremated and the remains distributed at the roots of an evergreen tree or some other suitable place willed by the deceased. I also seriously promise by NUBUN forces of nature, by this 9th guide, to maintain the promises of all 9 NUBUN guides for all existence and liberty, freedom, preservation, well-being, and success, with the understanding that if I fail to keep my promises to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability, I will soon join the physically dead.
I love your voice. I get to play with myself for the first time on the show. Damn. Oh, phone sex. Okay, let's have some decorum around here. God damn, I see why the black woman needs help. 3. Okay, so we're going to briefly explain number 1 of the 9 guides. Give it to us one more time. Number 1.
Number 1, I promise to preserve self at all times to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability.
Okay, so I don't have it in front of me, so it's I promise to preserve self. What else?
I promise to preserve self at all times to the best of my knowledge. Okay. I promise to preserve self at all times to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability.
Okay. Check 2. Tell me you're listening, because I don't know if you got it, but check how he explains self-preservation. Complete self is not just one individual. Complete self is all those of a kind. All people of the same race is one being. A race is one being with many parts, and those parts are the individuals of that race. Made me want to cry. I've injured so many parts of my one being. Damn, I feel so wrong. This shit make you want to fucking call everybody you done wrongfully fucked.
That's for real though, because you like,
man, you injured yourself when you injured someone of the same fucking race, yo.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel so bad. Not sure. I take back what I said about your other woman. I'll start with the most recent injury I fucking caused.
Work your way, yeah.
I'm sorry, Nasir. Tell her I'm sorry.
Well, I have to say, I don't think you was doing it maliciously. So you're not sorry, and I accept your apology. Hey, I'm just trying to keep it balanced.
Man, y'all some smooth ass niggas. I got to watch out for y'all. Y'all just too fucking smooth. Told y'all, so y'all better watch out for these niggas. Smooth.
I mean,
know
but it's a learning. It's a learning process. You know what I'm saying? We ain't here just for folly.
Yeah,
you're gonna learn something. You joke around. So shit. If on my account something been learned for us as one whole of the all, then let that be. You feel me?
Oh, give me a hug. Yeah. Man, y'all always co-sign on devilishment. A motherfucker, one thing about birds of a feather, boy, they damn sure goddamn co-sign on each other. Shit, don't they? Like, nah, nigga, you did good. Don't even worry about it, man. Keep it up. I'm really trying to get my shit right. Well, after this shit, I've injured. Complete self is not just one individual. Complete self is all those of a kind. People of the same race is one being. A race is one being with many parts, and those parts are the individuals of that race. So the promise to preserve self is the promise to protect self and kind in every possible and practical way. Reproduce self with own kind. Do not be an aggressor, but do not hesitate to practice self-defense whenever and wherever it is practical and needed. People who love self enough to preserve self do not use tobacco in any form, neither strong drinks, nor any form of dope or narcotics. Self-guided. However, in protecting self, do not stick your neck out in mankind's society for the unintelligent who refuse to accept non-knowledge and practice non-knowledge. Okay, right. We got some people testifying in the chat room. Jay Illam, he felt that shit too. I want to cry. Man, if there was a God I could ask for forgiveness to, motherfucker, I get on my knees right now. But too bad you your own judge.
You know, so you got to say it to yourself, like, hey, let's look back. Let's look over what we done did. That's correct. Shoot.
Yeah, Jay Illa said, he says, I'm just saying, when I was in my younger years, at a certain point when I got into altercations with people of my kind, I couldn't swing. Now, not that I didn't want to, something else was stopping me.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And Fireline is being rebellious. She said, fuck that, I'm still going to smoke cigarettes.
That's on fire. That's on fire.
That's your ability.
Yeah, say that part again. To the best of what?
To the best of your ability.
That's right. To the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability.
Yeah. Yeah. So right there, if you want to take the cop out for doing what you want to do, because you have that will to do that, then that's your cop out right there. But then don't be saying you're all intelligent then, because that's your unintelligent way.
That's not true.
Hey, I'm saying that to myself because I smoke them damn sweaters.
What depends on what kind you smoke, sir.
You know, I smoke the nigga kind, Newport.
Well, then that would make you unintelligent. You got to smoke Marlboro so you can live tomorrow, bro. Goddamn shit. You better smoke them white supremacy cigarettes, motherfucker.
So the best thing is to quit them completely.
You better fuck with them bitches in their hedges, nigga. Yeah, I'm fucking them killer sticks. That's that genocide cigarette.
Genocide stick.
Yeah.
Real. Tonight is no, let me quit. Yeah, you about right though.
Man, y'all real smokers though. Niggas who smoke Newports are real smokers. Y'all nicotine fiends. Geek monsters.
Man.
I smoked Newports when I was 16, y'all, and that shit damn near killed me. God said we got to give her something better.
That's right.
That's what God said. That's what God said. God said, I got to get you off of that, boo. I got to give you something that'll save your life. And we can still use you.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, God said, I want you to hate that nigga tonight. I said, okay. And then God said, you hate that nigga tonight? I said, yes. He said, now call up one of your friends and tell them bitches you want to go hit the club. I said, okay. So I called the bitch up. She was like, hell yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. And I looked up at the ceiling. I said, damn, God is good. That bitch said, hey, y'all about to call you and say, bitch, you want to go out? I was like, damn, God, don't be bullshit. So I went to pick up the bitch, and then we hit the one in the club, right? Wasn't nobody in the club, though. It was goddamn butt naked in that motherfucker. Cold as fuck. It was a woman at the goddamn bar. And she was smoking a damn cigarette. And this cigarette put my Newports to shame. I said, what the fuck is you smoking? She explained to me what it was. She gave me the fucking ingredients on it, everything about it, boo. I said, and then she said, would you like one? I said, of course. And from that point on, that's what I've been smoking.
Wow.
Don't ask what it is, because they might poison it. So I can't tell you what the fuck I smoke. They might poison.
That's for you. That's for you.
Yep. I said, man, God is good. And then from there, all the niggas got something to say about my cigarette I smoke. Every fucking nigga. That's when I know that niggas is the fucking devil. Now they clowns. Now they got something to say out they fucking mouth. I said, God gave me these goddamn cigarettes, and now y'all motherfuckers got something to say. Even the smokers got something to say about it. Even crackheads talk bad about it. Everybody. But if I drop it on the ground, they'll pick that motherfucker up. Okay, let's move on.
That was good.
Yeah. I think God got stock in these. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. That's neither here nor there. Let's go to what are we? Did I finish number 1?
Number 4. You finished
number
3?
4. We did. Okay, number 4. Let's go to number 2. Let's read the number 2 of the 9 guides.
All right. I promise to have sexual relations with no one but the opposite sex of my own kind.
That's it?
Yeah, that's number 2.
To the best of my knowledge or ability. Okay, that shit
None
is right there.
None of that. It's like, I promise to have sexual relations with no one but the opposite sex of my own kind, period.
But the opposite sex of my own kind.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Well, that's easy for some of us.
For some of us, right.
right. So number 2 of the 9 guides restricts reproduction to existence only among those of the same kind. That is, those of the same race. This restriction is also a part of self-preservation, and self-preservation is the first law of nature. Eternal life is the continuous procreation with the opposite sex of your own kind. Therefore, it is very desirous to have a son among the offspring of a family, because a son continues the blood lineage. The sex with own kind principle prevents a race from destroying itself, and likewise prevents people of other races from destroying it by miscegenation. The NUBUN male is very fortunate to have the richest female in body on the planet, and that is the woolly-haired female. And we must learn to protect her in every way and provide for her. The Caucasian male struggles to keep males of other races away from his females, because he knows if other males obsess his females, his race, given time, will become a multitude of hybrids and mix-ups and members of no particular race. In other words, the race loses its identity, and that is destruction. We must also strive to maintain our NUBUN identity. Self-Guided says, read it again, Don. What part, Sugar Pie, because I just saw it. You got to give me a key word. Just the whole thing, number 4? You just want us to read it again? We'll read it again. It's nothing, motherfucker. I'm wired, nigga. I've been on like 8 cups of fucking Folgers and candy. You want to do it again? He says 2 says the future telling the present. Okay. Can I get that number 2 again one more time, Guru, if you're not busy? If you can unmute, that would be okay.
Yeah, that would help if I unmuted. That would help. Number 2.
I see you.
I promise to have sexual relations with no one but the opposite sex of my own kind, period.
Okay. Self-Guided says this is what is occurring right in front of you. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see what hits him. So number 2 of the 9 guides restrict reproduction to existence only among those of the same kind. That is, those of the same race. This restriction is also a part of self-preservation, and self-preservation is the first law of nature. Eternal life is the continuous procreation with the opposite sex of your own kind. Therefore, it is very desirous to have a son among the offspring of a family, because a son continues the blood lineage. Is that what you wanted? Self-Guided, you want to talk about my son? Is that why you said right there? Is this what the fuck? Are you making shots at me, motherfucker? Is this what this shit is all about? You taking shots at me? The sex with own kind. Okay, he said keep going. I was about to say, nigga, I'll find your ass in Kentucky. The sex with... Okay, we getting a reverb. I know this you, Guru. You gotta take me on speaker, baby. I know you don't like that cell phone up to your ear.
All right.
But the sex with own kind principle prevents a race from destroying itself, and likewise prevents people of other races from destroying it by miscegenation. The NUBUN male is very fortunate to have the richest female in body on the planet, and that is the woolly-haired female. And we must learn to protect her in every way and provide for her. The Caucasian male struggles to keep males of other races away from his females, because he knows if other males obsess his females, his race, given time, will become a multitude of hybrids and mix-ups and members of no particular race. In other words, the race loses its identity, and that is destruction. We must also strive to maintain our NUBUN identity. Okay, I'm ready. Let's get to number 3.
Number 3, all right. I promise to eat and drink only those gases, liquids, and solids which will be more beneficial than harmful to my mental and physical selves, to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability.
Now, I asked the question when you first read that, the number 3, the 9 guys. What the fuck is gases we could eat?
You know, that's a good question.
Antichrist says seeds, because seeds give off nitrogen or some old shit. Don't seeds give out that nitrogen? Ain't it nitrogen in the cigarette? Yes.
Don't give me.
It's fucking nitrogen. That's why I fucks with it.
There it is. Getting the gases that you need. Only the gases you need.
What else got gas in it? That carbon monoxide. I fucks with that shit too.
I do too.
Are you serious? You too, nigga?
Yeah.
You an alien for real.
Yeah, that's what I
fucks with that. That shit is the fucking shit.
It is.
Humans can't take that shit. They'll fuck around and die.
They'll die. Well, I enjoy. That's how I know that's that extraterrestrial alien gang right there.
Yeah. And I can't remember though, but one day we got to go back in the tablets. It'll show you some of the elements in the shit we be breathing on certain planets and shit. That's the fucking bomb.
That's right. That's right. I can't remember.
That's here now, because when they're changing the atmosphere, they only changing it for those that can breathe it, that can live within it.
Those that can breathe it, and that's why we able to breathe it.
That's why I don't believe the poisoning of the air, because air feels fine to me. It actually gets me high.
Yeah, same with me, Don. I'll be getting some crisp air in the nostril. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like,
Exactly. You know that krypton secretes at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Krypton in the air. A high concentration of krypton. That shit is the fucking bomb.
It is. It really is.
Okay.
Nice and crisp.
Okay, so read our third promise one more time so I can remember what the hell it said.
Okay. I promise to eat and drink only those gases, liquids, and solids which will be more beneficial than harmful to my mental and physical selves, to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability.
Okay, so there is a fact in the expression that a person is what he or she eats. And this expression launches us into number 3 of the 9 guides. If a person eats or drinks something which he or she knows is not fit for consumption, or it disagrees with him or her, that person is unintelligent and thereby is mentally dead. The one supreme being is nature in general. Let me stop right there. I got to cuss out somebody that done threw the word pork in the chat room. For the record, pork agrees with me, motherfucker.
It agrees with me too, Don. I ain't never had a problem with it. Ain't never.
You too? Are we soulmates?
Hey, it done jacked me up.
Are we twin
higher levels. I let everybody else talk about it, but I know what happened when I eat it.
Damn, that's some crazy shit, man.
Yep.
This is terrible.
Yep.
And we should have this conversation in private, honey.
That's right.
Making these niggas throw up.
Right.
Ooh, y'all nasty motherfuckers.
Y'all nasty, dirty motherfuckers. Now, power.
I just had to put that on record, man. That nigga threw pork in there. What up, NEX? I miss you, honey. Matru Nefiru Tamaray says pork makes my head hurt. You know what? There's a lot of people who say pork make their head hurt. You're not supposed to get it. It's not for you.
That's right. It's not for you.
Yeah. It makes me feel fine. It actually makes my stomach flatter.
Hey, it worked well with me. Energy and protein in the game.
I can't believe you, Guru. Nobody good over here. But he about to break this shit down, though. I'm telling you, he about to break this shit down about this shit, because this is what we stopped off at in the previous show. Okay, so, all right. So now, if a person eats or drinks something which he or she knows is not fit for consumption, or it disagrees with him or her, now, I just got a question now. If a person eats or drinks something which he or she knows is not fit for consumption, should you niggas be eating pussy? And should you hoes be drinking cum?
Well, if you know it's fit for consumption, you can go ahead and do it.
Okay. Okay. I just had to ask.
That's all. Hey, that's why we read it. It done healed me now.
Look at all the brothers. That's made for consumption. All the brothers in the chat room saying that's made for consumption. KB, change your fucking font. Boo, we can't fucking read that shit you saying. Okay, all right. I just want to be clear on that. What about ass? I just gotta ask.
It's all to the individual. I'm gonna just say it like that.
I mean, if a nigga start throwing up, don't eat no more ass no more. You hear me?
That's right. If it's being sick,
it disagrees with you.
Eat your honey's ass and she happy. Hey.
I don't like that shit though. I be like, man, don't be fucking back there, nigga. Get down here in the front.
That's what you need to do.
You know what I'm saying? And toes and shit. Like, come on, man. Are you serious?
Yeah, some of them, some honeys love them. They'll come from the toe game. So
putting shit like that in your damn mouth. It's not fit for consumption. You can't eat a toe unless it's pig feet. Or rabbit foot, motherfucker. You can't chew no damn human toes like that and swallow. I know what the hell consumption means. You can swallow. But anyway, it says if a person eats or drinks something which he or she knows is not fit for consumption, or it disagrees with him or her, that person is unintelligent and thereby is mentally dead.
Yep.
The one supreme, here we go now. You ready to? The one supreme being is nature in general. And the one supreme being is our physical lives because we feel, we eat, drink, taste, and breathe the one supreme being. The one supreme being is our mental lives because the study and understand it by analyzing and learning of it. The one supreme being is food, clothing, and shelter. It is all persons, all places, and all things. Here we go. That's where we stopped at, right here.
That's where we stopped. Yeah.
Each person, we're going to take it slow on this shit. Each person here we go. Let's take it slow. Each part of a person's physical self, which has a different composition than another part, is composed of a different formula. And those parts different in composition. And those parts different in composition require a different food. That is the kind of food which possesses the formula of that part.
So true. That's so true.
Okay, let's do it again. He said more slower. Two said more slower. Okay, because I still want to be able to digest this shit.
Yeah.
Each part of a person's physical self, which has a different composition than another part, is composed of a different formula. And those parts, different in composition, require a different food. That is, the kind of food which possesses the formula of that part.
Okay. That was a good line.
So, fuck. Which means that we have to, like, fuck, it's like you got to eat food for your heart. You got to eat food for your brain. You got to eat food for your liver. You got to fucking eat food for your kidneys. You got to eat food for your blood. You got to fucking, son.
You got to be in tune with your body. You got to know your body inside out. What does your body need today? What parts? What does your lungs need? What does your arms need? What does your heart need?
Right, and we know that some of the formula for the brain is H2O. Even though they talk about the body has to have a certain percentage of water, but your brain also needs it. So this a fucking lie when they say like the body is how much percent water?
Was it 80% water?
I don't motherfucking know. But really, motherfucker, your body needs 100% water because your brain needs that fucking water too, which also causes fucking headaches when your brain is not getting that H2O.
That is so true.
That formula it needs. So it ain't just the body that needs to be 85% water. I think the brain needs at least 100% of that motherfucker. And then it should filter throughout the body. And NEX, they lying about the earth is 75% water because the air we breathe is also fucking water. See, these crackers be lying to you Negroes. The air we breathe is fucking water. It's just at a denser state.
We're in 100%.
That's water we're breathing. We are inside water. This is the blueprint planet. It is 100% water.
100%
and what's so
water.
fire about it, what's so fucking fire about that shit, even underneath the ocean floor is land.
It is.
With air underneath it.
Thank you.
With air underneath it. The deeper you, oh my God, what?
Yes.
Motherfucker, what? That's why there are still beings that live in Atlantis, in that city.
That's right. That's right. That is so true. All land underwater. It's
land and air underneath that surface of the ocean floor.
And air. Yep.
Underneath that shit. That's where the nigga be going.
Yeah, it's taller mountains underwater than Mount Everest on top.
And same way the pyramid is like that too.
Yep, that's right. Same way.
You will find land again. The deeper you go, you'll find a whole new world. Yep. That's why they say the inner cities.
Yep.
Underwater caverns. Tell it, NEX. Okay, so I get this part now. Each part of a person's physical self, which has a different composition than another part, is composed of a different formula, and those parts different in composition require a different food, and those parts different in composition require a different food. That is the kind of food which possesses the formula of that part. When a given of the person does not get the formula necessary. Let's do it again. When a given part of the person, when a given
Just take it slow. Just take it slow.
I say this. Slow it down, Rev.
Slow it down, Rev. Slow it down.
Okay. When a given part of the person does not get the formula necessary for its survival, the part begins to degenerate, and the person starts to suffer from some kind of disease or ailment. Ethiopian communities everywhere need mentally resurrected dietitians. Damn. Ethiopian communities everywhere need mentally resurrected dietitians who can teach Ethiopians what to eat, how much to eat, and when to eat. We need a resurrected dietitian.
Resurrected dietitian.
A mentally resurrected dietitian.
That's serious, right?
Good God.
Mentally resurrected dietitian. I've never seen those three words together like that.
Me fucking either.
Wow.
A mentally resurrected dietitian who can teach us what to eat, how much to eat, and when to eat. Most seafoods with scales are all right to eat. Most fowl that is not birds of prey
Get jacked from that, yep.
Fruits that are suitable for your digestive system are all right to eat. Nuts, like peanuts, are all right to eat because peanuts are not as hard to digest as some other nuts because they are not as heavy and oily as some others. 7. Yet raw jumbo peanuts are very helpful to those who are bothered by too much stomach acidity. All vegetation is not poisonous and is agreeable. No, my bad. All vegetation that is not poisonous and is agreeable, look how he wrote this shit, and is agreeable to the person is all right to eat. You see that shit? I fucking love this alien. Yeah. I'm so glad he's not a fucking human. I swear.
It's the best.
You heard me too. Man. I ain't bullshitting. All vegetation that is not poisonous and is agreeable to the person is all right to eat. And agreeable means taste buds and everything. Like,
That's right.
These collard greens taste good.
First line.
Oh, I love me some collard greens.
It's the first line of defense is your taste buds. It'll let you know what's right and what's wrong.
That's right. That's the first thing your body say, hell fucking nah. You be ready to gag.
Spit that shit out.
Yep. All vegetation that is not poisonous and is agreeable to the person is all right to eat. Now, of course, artificial drinks are poisonous to the health, and the water and fruit juices available to the person should be as fresh as possible and as pure as possible. No comment.
And get the best water you can get. Hey, that Fukushima plant blew up and the radiation hit the water. Hey, just get the best you can get.
As pure as possible. He said as fresh as possible and as pure as possible.
And as pure as possible. There's some of the water that come out that faucet that'll jack a motherfucker up, but which one can you drink that's filtered for some?
Absolutely, because they goddamn faucet water and they goddamn stove motherfucker.
Yeah.
Nigga, when I turn the cold water on for Malacat, just to smell it make me throw up.
See?
That shit there, my nigga. You know as I give it to Malacat, though, right? Here, motherfucker, drink this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably what they, because I know the food. Malacat be throwing up, too, all over the damn store. Like,
yeah.
I be like, what wrong with you? I drank too much water this time.
That bullshit.
Hey, but ain't nothing I can do with it. That's a fucking animal. The fuck you think I'm supposed to treat this motherfucker like a human being? Sometimes I do give it water out the bottle, though. Depending on if I don't feel like throwing up, turning the water on, I just say, man, I'm not going near that water, fill it bowl up. Here, nigga. Get some of that Aquafina.
That's right.
That shit stink. It make me throw the fuck up, yo.
There's something up with that, Don. It's something up. With me, it'll jack me up like I got a sore throat and shit. Like I'm sick. So I'm like, I can't even fuck with that. Let me go on and get this filter game.
Yeah. I can't do it. I won't even put a filter on that nasty shit.
That shit be nasty. Be like,
All right. So here we go.
Water. Here we go.
Okay. Now, of course, artificial drinks are poisonous to the health, and the water and fruit juices available to the person should be as fresh as possible and pure as possible. Of course, alcoholic drinks are completely taboo for mentally resurrected Ethiopians. Sorry, Antichrist. You're out. He's having to fit in the afterpod in the chat room. But it's okay, baby.
Yeah.
Of course, alcoholic drinks are completely taboo for mentally resurrected Ethiopians. The air we breathe and the water we drink should be very clean and fresh. And smoking tobacco and marijuana cloud the lungs and bloodstream. In short, anything that will cause a person more harm than benefit should not be consumed. If an intelligent person knows that something does him more harm than help, he or she will not indulge. I totally agree. So, Antichrist, does the alcohol does you more harm than help?
Help. You gotta roll.
I mean, you ain't going around beating people up once you're intoxicated, is you? You do that. You do that in the closet somewhere by yourself, do you? You don't bang your head on the wall once you get drunk. You don't try to cause harm to yourself, do you? Because, you know, you alcoholic motherfuckers start kicking the wall with your feet, hitting glass and with your fists and shit, tearing up TVs, punching the fucking wall, knuckles all bloody.
Putting holes in the wall.
Just start taking frustration out on the wall and shit, the carpet, the dishes. You motherfuckers, I tell you. Look at Steph got it. This alcoholic talking about Don. Who you date? You motherfucker. Okay. Let's go into number 4.
Number 4.
For the record, I never dated an alcoholic, and I'm so glad I haven't ever in my life. I just want to say that. I don't know. I mean, I fucked a few alcoholics, but that don't count. And trust me, when a nigga is sloppy ass drunk, that's the best fucking sex on the fucking planet. When both you motherfuckers are drunk. When one of you motherfuckers are, I don't know what that shit is like, but 2 drunk motherfuckers, oh my God, it's ecstasy. It's fucking ecstasy. And I only did that one time out of my life. One time. And it was a goddamn best. And me and the niggas seen each other like weeks and months later and shit. And we just sat there drinking, talking about it again. And we went back at it. Now, you remember that time we got drunk out there? We fucking got there. We did that shit. Yeah, nigga, goddamn, pump your little goddamn was that Patron, nigga. You want to do it again? That shit was incredible, though. I hope Doc ain't listening. Damn, I hope this motherfucker sleep. Bullshit. You know I'm perfect. You know I'm sincere and innocent in his eyes, so I got to keep it that way.
This ain't no recounting of the old good stuff.
Okay, so I'm ready when you. Come on, Guru, stay focused, bro. Okay, 4. Give us no. Guru having flashbacks and shit.
Yeah, I am. Number 4. All right, I'm ready. Okay, number 4. I promise to be a NUBUN first, to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability, than whatever else I wish to be.
I promise to be a NUBUN first. 8, mentally resurrected NUBUNs try hard to follow and adhere to highest standards in nature. Notice he said try hard to follow and adhere. That is true. We do. We do try hard to follow and adhere to the highest standards in nature. And trying hard to be a NUBUN first in a world of mankind is no exception. Oh, Nick Nubian. Nick Nubian said Don and Guru make a great team. Girl, go post that. Go post that on Babylon Facebook page for me, boo. Start a little bit of dissension between the brotherhood for a minute. Okay, let me get my mind right. I digress. Okay, so mentally resurrected NUBUNs try hard to follow and adhere to the highest standards in nature. And trying hard to be a nigga first in a world of mankind is no exception. Ain't that the fucking truth? That is the hardest fucking thing is to be black in the world of mankind. Like, act the way you supposed to act. You feel me? Like a nigga.
Right. I feel you.
Like a real fucking nigga.
Yup. Yes, man. Oh, my God. Yes. Everything is attacking you being a nigga first. Everything.
Everything. Because then it be another nigga telling you to act like you got some sense.
Right. Which is mankind.
For mankind, motherfucker.
For mankind, please. But it's a beat down. It's like trying to beat you into that spot, and you fighting that.
Exactly. That's like, so you want me to hide my niggerness?
Yes.
Suppress the blackness in me? I'm supposed to talk like this with rhythm.
Right. I'm supposed to have energy in my life when I talk.
Exactly. I'm supposed to come in the room and light that bitch up. You telling me to tone it down, man. Bunch of crackers in this bitch today.
Tone it down? The fuck you mean shut up and slow down and close it down and quiet down?
Man, I found myself conforming, man. Like, that shit ain't no joke. When you when you have an out-of-body experience and your real self looking at you saying, nigga, you wrong for this shit today.
Yeah.
Look at you talking all, well, basically, you know, I mean, I'm just like, like, oh my God. Like, I mean, did you, I swear that shit is fucking hard, yo.
Like, man.
You get to the point where you just say, fuck you. I ain't got no time to bullshit a motherfucker. See, white people bullshit.
And they got time to
bullshit you. That's a whole nother fucking shit. And now you acting like a bullshitter.
That's
talking like a bullshitter. You know what I'm saying?
Acting like you got the time, like you just said. I like how you said the time to bullshit. You acting like you got the time to bullshit.
We ain't got no time to fucking bullshit. Do you understand what time it is?
What is it?
I thought that shit. I really did. It take a minute. Sometimes, you know, you a nigga, and sometimes you a conform nigga.
That's right.
And then, you know what I'm saying, and then you look back at the time where you just said it straight with no chaser to a motherfucker, no matter what the fuck they are, what status they got, and you win every time because you been NUBUN first.
That's right. In fact, they wind up loving you.
You know that's what the fuck I'm saying, because you know them motherfuckers can't stand no phony ass nigga trying to act like them.
Right.
They hate that shit. They treat your ass like a damn, you want to talk about some pig or some swine, motherfucker. You become the lowest of low. You become a fucking beggar to them. Bitch. You become less than their women. Who the fuck want to become less than they woman? The white man.
One that they keep under their boot.
Oh my God. And then they treat you like shit, how you jumping over hurdles and shit. You come back and you got everything they say you need, and then they fucking say, no.
Right.
Sorry. I got played like that in this town.
What they do?
I got played like that. I started to do the whole mammy roll on them motherfuckers, but then I said, you know what? I ain't finna goddamn do no goddamn soft shoe ass with you motherfuckers. I'm gonna have you regret that you didn't fucking give me what the fuck I asked for. I started to do a whole white man please roll. I started to be the whole black bitch in a motherfucking bank yelling 4 kids and left husband roll.
Yeah.
I said, I ain't finna do this shit. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll cast a goddamn spell and create something better than what the fuck I asked you niggas to give me. Then y'all niggas gonna lose your fucking mind when Mr. White Man, who I didn't fuck, who's over you, say to your white ass, nigga, you cracker, you fired, because now we could have got that money every fucking month with goddamn 30% interest.
Thank you.
On the fucking loan.
I love it, Don. I love it. That's what I'm talking about.
Now this bitch riding around every fucking year with $100,000 vehicle with a goddamn 6% interest rate on it, when we could have gave this bitch a Ford fucking Taurus for a bank loan. And then I would have still been paying on that motherfucker right now.
Right.
That shit was 9 years ago. You'll never get my shit. Fuck you. Man, they had me jumping over goddamn hurdles. They had me cut niggas' throats. They said, kill a nigga for us. I said, okay. I said, go hang a nigga. You want that goddamn $15,000 car? Go hang a nigga. I said, what a nigga at? I'll hang his ass for this fucking car. I hung a nigga. Came back, they said, not good enough. Hang 3 niggas.
See, that's how, when the conformity, that's exactly how it goes.
I went and hung 3 niggas for the motherfucker. They said you forgot to put gasoline on the motherfucker.
See, it's never good enough. Never good enough. Oh, never good enough.
I think this
so
a bitch.
And
y'all motherfuckers see that I got more money in this motherfucker 5 times the amount of the fucking car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I get it.
That's right.
But get what though? My God is a good God. The Supreme One said, I'm going to fuck him up. I'm going to fuck him up.
But the
I'm going to fuck him up. You're going to pull up in this town without their fucking money. Without their goddamn loan. I pulled up in that motherfucker in a goddamn Jaguar.
And they was grinding and gnashing their teeth in the dark.
That cracker got demoted in the loan. And white men got pissed off because first it was all a joke. That nigga bitch came in, wanted a goddamn loan for $13,000. I even dropped the shit. It started from $20,000 on a goddamn old ass F-150 to a goddamn $13,000 vehicle. They still said, fuck you, you fucking nigga.
Yeah.
You nigga bitch. Go hang another nigga and we'll think about it. Give us your draw size too.
That's right. That's right.
We want your children draw size. See, this shit, it's in your face in these little small towns because ain't no banks, ain't no commercial big ass banks, it's just day banks. That's a little bit different. Then I meet a fucking white bitch who work at Walmart, got a loan at the same goddamn bank, boo. Dirt road, trailer park, trash ass, $6 an hour, bitch. Get a fucking loan for $250,000 motherfucking dollars.
Why is it the same number that I found out too, God?
For a goddamn house she can't fucking afford. She meets some fucking cracker on the internet. They get married. She gets the fucking loan. He don't like her ass no more, so the house is for sale. And possibly for rent. Whoever can fucking pay that bitch dead off. That bitch work at Walmart.
Work at Walmart. Being a Nuban first.
Being a Nuban first in the world of mankind is no exception.
No exception.
Being a Nuban first is number 4 of the 9 gods. Be a Nuban first. Then whatever else you wish to be means this. Before doing any serious talking or taking any sincere action of any sort. Let me do this again. Be a Nuban first. Then whatever else you wish to be means this. Before doing any serious talking or taking any sincere action of any sort, first determine if it is in the best interest of the Nuban race as a whole. That's some deep ass shit right there, ain't it?
Deep ass shit.
That's
right
what I
there.
be meaning by why these black bitches don't think for the other woman first. You feel me?
All right, I feel you.
But this motherfucker done took this shit and said, first determine if it is in the best interest of the Nuban race as a whole. Because if what you say or do is best for the Nuban race, it is best for your Nuban family, including your Nuban self.
He done brought it all the way back like that.
This motherfucker got us goddamn thinking for the all before we say or do any sincere or taking any sincere. Goddamn.
Any serious talking or taking any serious action, before you do that, first determine the all. Is it for the best for all? And if it is, guess what? It's going to take care of you and your family anyway.
God damn. What was that number 4 again? Read number 4 again. What the fuck?
Number 4 again. And number 4
no wonder that nigga say no exceptions.
No exceptions. I see. Yep. Number 4, I promise to be a NUBUN first to the best of my knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and ability than whatever else I wish to be.
Good God.
Wow. Man, talk about overstanding. Man, it's just,
What is best for the race is also best for its component parts. The Caucasian race knows this and practices this is one reason why it is much more unified and much stronger than our race.
Yeah, they do understand that. Hey, you know what? Just real quick, I was talking to here in Southern California. A lot of Mexicans is taking over in a marketing plan with a Hispanic marketing agency. There are more Mexicans in California than anybody right now. And there are a lot of Mexican bank managers. And I stopped and talked with a bank manager one time I got to know. And I said, why are you not taking care of your people and everybody? You know, why are you still stuck in the thought process of the white boy? And they said, well, that's my job and that's what I have to do. And the Caucasian race knows the differential. That's why they'll give the Walmart bitch $250,000 and fight the other races. But when you get in control, when you come out to Southern Cal, most of your bank managers are Mexican now. And I'm like, y'all ain't even taking care of your own people with the loans. You're not even learning from the Caucasian how they'll put their own people in that money and not take care of the other races. They'll put them through the rigors, you know.
Yeah,
and that's what us as humans have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they in a position to hire, man, them motherfuckers be mean mugging your ass doing interviews.
Yes. What do you mean mugging?
They got that goddamn white man complex like, nigga, you sorry and lazy. What the fuck makes me want to hire you over all the rest of the people waiting to be interviewed?
That's right, Don. That is
you should just give a nigga a straight answer and say, because I'm black, bitch. That's why, you fucking skank perm face ass bitch. Because I'm a nigga just like you, ho.
Just get it running.
You gonna hire all of us waiting to be interviewed, you skank bitch. Y'all better got there. I bet you that bitch say, nigga, you hired. You gotta just give a nigga straight. Don't even give a nigga no chaser with that shit. Say, cause I'm a fucking nigga, bitch. And you know what the fuck our people been through, you skank hoe. You fucking bitch. You gotta come like from the 706 on them niggas. You gotta fucking go straight cuffing on them niggas, yo. California.
That's right. You not be bullshitting out here. You in control of the money and you not hooking your people up, you out your goddamn mind.
And then the niggas in that statement, niggas be like, I done already helped a few motherfuckers and they fucked my name up.
Can we all agree that we've all been mind fucked and tricked? Can we all agree to that? Can we just agree to that? Fuck it. Who fell first? Can we all agree that we've all been mind fucked and tricked? Fuck it. Who fell first? Can we all agree that we've all that we've all been mind fucked and tricked. So can we work on putting the black mind back in its righteous state? That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
Of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Don NICOLEONE Show.
Oh, yeah. Y'all already know what time it is. The moment that you've been waiting for, the one that you've been waiting to hear, the one that calls the call, that calls the effect. Put your hands together for the baddest bitch in El Cologne. God, NICOLEONE.
Cologne. I'm in the love of the all, and all love is in me. I am a part of the all, and the all is a part of me. I am one with the all, and the all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of the all and fail as an individual. I can be all that I wish in the all as long as my wish is to stay in the all. I'm never alone. The all is, I am. The all can, I can. The all does, I do. Hello.
Oh, great day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Don NICOLEONE Show. Tell me y'all enjoyed that first hour. That is the Behind the Nine Ball with Don NICOLEONE, the Nine Nubian Guide. That show is dated January 28th, 2014. And you are officially the Don NICOLEONE Show. Oh, that was not supposed to happen. All right, let's try it again. My bad. Move. My bad. Fucking up already. Too early. Fuck up around this bitch. Great day, Nick Beck. Great day, everybody that's tuning in to the Don NICOLEONE Show, baby. 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on WGAG Radio, Monday through Friday. It's official. Special shout out to the callers, man. You need to get into the call line. The call-in number is 425-569-5274. And I'm glad you enjoyed that first hour, Nick Beck. If you and only you did. I did too, man. Just want to put it on record. Did you hear that noise in the background? I don't know how long you've been listening. There was some noise in the background. I'm saying to myself, now what? You know, the younger Don don't play about hearing somebody noise in the background and that she's just going along with it and ignoring it and shit. Well, kind of find out, right? It was my ass.
It was me. It was me. I was playing my fucking game, listening to the goddamn first hour. And I'm like, what the fuck? Then I realized a men on rescue team, goddamn chopping down bricks and sawing trees and saving these people and shit, man. I'm like, ain't this a bitch? This is my goddamn ass making noise. No wonder goddamn the younger Don is like, goddamn somebody making noise in their background. Let me mute, find out who the fuck it is. Somebody need to mute their background. Any goddamn way. It'll take a minute for y'all to get it. But yeah, man, great day, Binky D. Great day to everybody over there. Over there in the after party, man. That's what all nasty, funky, and things that YouTube don't let us goddamn talk about. So we do it in the after party, man. Dog, see, you see how this shit? They start right there. See how this shit start? They know. They know it. They monitoring me, man. They monitoring me, man. Goddamn black fucking planes that fly over the sky and shit and follow me everywhere I go. Fucking monitor me. What up, Newbie? Great day, Newbie. Great day, C9. Great day, Wanda Shanae is in the building, too. Hope all is well. Shout out to Sister Zena in the building. Newbie, great day, Newbie. Yeah, black helicopters and shit. Them niggas be paranoid and shit, don't. Black helicopters and shit. Every time I go live, here they is, start ringing my goddamn phone and shit. See that? Phone they ring all day. As soon as I boom, now they want to interrupt the bitch. See, they know how this shit go. Motherfuckers, I hate you. I hate y'all. And I'm happy to say it. Hate makes me happy to know that I hate you motherfuckers. Goddamn, chill the fuck out with that shit. Damn, I got something for y'all before, because this show is about to go by real fast. This is strange, and I probably need to refresh. Yeah, Nicole, let's see if you can refresh. And I think I'm on the wrong page. Nope. Okay, I'm going to try to refresh this shit. First, I'm going to give y'all, this is from Science, The Wire. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of this real quick. Can a brain be electrically stimulated such that a homosexual man turns straight? This is from science.com. You got me? Science. The question is, can a brain be electrically stimulated such that a homosexual man turns straight? Interesting, right? Robert Health. Nope, his last name ain't no Health. Let's do it again, Nicole. Robert Heath claimed to have cured homosexuality by Robert Heath claimed to have cured homosexuality by implanting electrodes into the pleasure center of the brain. Okay? Electrodes into the pleasure center of the brain. Did y'all know y'all have a pleasure center in the brain? Robert Colville reports on one of the greatest forgotten stories of neuroscience. Now that's interesting, because anybody that watch like one of the American Horror Stories I didn't watch and I decided to watch. There was another something else I did watch too, a long time ago. But that's when they were sending this way back in the days in the black and white movies. Remember that? And so black and white area, when it was black and white TV, everything was in black and white. So I don't know if that's the 30s or 40s, but you know they had the mental institutions, the asylum, insane asylums or some old shit, right? Anyway, so when they found out that somebody was a homosexual, matter of fact, I'll tell you the other one that I watched. It was, damn, I can't think of the chick name. Somebody help me out. She playing damn near all the American Horror Stories, and she cried all the fucking time. Netflix dropped a series of this bitch infiltrating a crazy house. Sound familiar so far? And her son, I think her son or her brother or somebody was also, he was obviously a killer or some shit, a serial killer. And he ends up in there too. Sound familiar? It's Miss Somebody on Netflix. No, it's not coming to anybody. Miss
Miss Ratchet. Thank you, Grandma. Ooh. Ooh, goddamn, I got somebody. Girl, I was about to lose my motherfucker. Look, Ratchet. Yeah, check that shit out. Ratchet. Is that her name, Sarah Paulson? But okay, well, you don't be knowing them people. I got other shit to do. But look here. So anyway, so in Ratchet and in the Asylum, Assalamu Alaikum Society, Assalamu Alaikum Asylum, in American Horror Story I watched, right? About a month ago, probably, or less than a day. I don't fucking remember. But anyway, so they show, even in that one, Miss Ratchet, right, Grand? Did you see it, Macbeth? Miss Ratchet, it's on Netflix. I'm still waiting on season 2 to come out. But the moral of the story is, we're talking about this motherfucking pleasure brain and shit in the brain and electrodes and shit. So in the crazy house way back then in the 30s and 40s, you were, remember now, the psychology books had it where you were, not you, excuse me, forgive me, y'all, for saying you, where a person that was gay or is gay is sick in the fucking head. Remember that? They even put that in the psychology books, right? They ain't in there no more. It said these people in their right mind now. But anyway, so you would turn, somebody that you found out gay back in the days, you would turn them motherfuckers in because they got them crazy. They got some sickness going on in their head. And what they would do, if anybody seen Ratchet or American Horror Story, they would treat their ass. They would shock them and put them through all types of shit to try to get that sick gay shit out of their brains. Doesn't that sound familiar? And back in the days, before me and you were born, right? They'll take them to the same asylum, whatever the fuck, insane asylum or whatever the fuck that shit, a crazy house, and put their brain in a bowl on top of their head and shit, and wires and shit, and shock the hell out of their ass. If their shock treatment didn't work in the brain, then they would, I think, they put them in some hot ass fucking water, try to get that shit out, that gay shit out their head. Remember that? This is what they would do back in the 30s and 20s and shit. And probably the 1800s. Ain't no fucking telling. Anyway, so this is what this reminds me of, because it's still dealing with the brain. All right, so can a brain be electrically stimulated such that a homosexual man turns straight? For the first hour, they just talked. He was nervous. He never done this before. She was understanding, reassuring. Let's just lie down on the bed together, she said, and see what happens. Soon, events took their course. They were enjoying themselves so much they could almost forget about the wires leading out of his skull. The year was 1970. And the man was a 24-year-old psychiatric patient. The woman, 21, was a prostitute from the French Quarter of New Orleans, hired by special permission of the Attorney General of Louisiana. Okay, so the attorney, this is real life now. The Attorney General of Louisiana in 1970 sent the prostitute to try to help this gay-ass psychiatric patient, fix his goddamn ass, because you ain't supposed to be doing no shit like that. So it's something in your head going on, something wrong upstairs. And they had just become part of the strangest experiment in scientific history. And that is an attempt to use pleasure conditioning to turn a gay man straight. They also showed that in American Horror Story, the goddamn crazy house season that I'm talking about. And what's your girl name again? Sarah is playing a gay bitch, right? Even though she's playing a gay bitch in Ratchet. But so she's playing a gay bitch, and they bring some goddamn supposedly a fine ass white man so that she could try to pleasure herself and get that lesbianism out of her brain. Got it? So it's amazing, man. You think goddamn art still imitate life, motherfucker. So anyway, true story, 1970. So they wanted to attempt to use pleasure conditioning to turn a gay man straight. The patient code name is B19. Got it? So from here on out, you're going to hear probably me say B19. The patient code name is B19. Would be 19, right, NUBUN? B19 was according to the 2 academic papers that cataloged the course of the research. A single white male of unremarkable gestation and birth. He came from a military family and had an unhappy childhood. He had the paper that he had, the paper said, he had entered the military, but has been repelled, done. Let's take it slow, girl. It's your first time talking to a human since yesterday. Let's go. First time me moving my vocals. Let's do it again. Woo! Entered the military, but he had been expelled for homosexual tendencies within a month. He had a 5-year history of homosexuality and a 3-year history of drug abuse. He had tried glues, paint, thinners, sedatives, marijuana, LSD, amphetamines, even nutmeg and vanilla extract. This motherfucker tried everything. He had temporal lobe epilepsy. He was depressive, suicidal, insecure, procrastinating, self-pitying, and narcissistic. Can never say that word. All of his relationships, that's wrote his doctor. That wrote his doctor. His doctor wrote that. He said, and with an unsparing, I'm fucking struggling, yo. Next day, in the new day, if I don't run my motherfucking mouth in over 20 fucking hours, I'm going to talk to myself before the show starts, okay? Nobody calls me. Nobody loves me no more, Iwana. I get no calls from nobody, I tell you. So I just be here, quiet. Mouth vocals never be used and none of that shit. Okay, let's do it again. All of his relationships, okay, where are we? And the doctor said, with an unsparingly lack of sympathy, quote, have been characterized by coercion, manipulation, and demand. One of the strangest experiments in scientific history, an attempt to use pleasure conditioning to turn a gay man straight. In 1970, B19 ended up in the care of Robert Galbraith Heath, chair of the Department of Psychiatry and Neurology at Tulane University, New Orleans. Heath's prescription was drastic. He and his team implanted stainless steel Teflon-coated electrons into 9 separate regions of B19's brain with wires leading back out of his skull. Didn't I say that they showed that shit in goddamn American Horror Story and in Miss Ratched on Netflix. Once he had recovered from the operation, a control box was attached, which enabled him, under his doctor's supervision, to provide a 1-second jolt to the brain area of his choice. Before being given control of the electrodes, B19 had been shown a film displaying heterosexual foreplay and intercourse. He reacted with anger and revulsion. But then the stimulation session started, delivered via the button that felt most pleasurable to him. Over the next few days, he found that it could arouse him. and he would press the button to stimulate himself to a point that both behavioral and introspectively, he was experiencing an almost overwhelming euphoria and elation and had to be disconnected despite his vigorous protest. He didn't even want to say, oh, can you disconnect this shirt? He would hit the button up to 1,500 times over a 3-hour session. He protested each time the unit was taken from him. And that was said in one of the papers, pleading to self-stimulate just a few more times. That's what he wanted after watching a male and a female do their thing. 10 days into his treatment, the doctor suggested that B19 watch the porn film again. He agreed without reluctance, and during this showing became sexually aroused, had an erection, and masturbated to orgasm. He started talking about wanting to have sex with women, and so Heath got permission to hire what he later referred to as a lady of the evening. We paid her $50. I told her it might be a little weird, but the room would be completely blacked out with curtains. She certainly did her job, guiding B19 through the process and encouraging him to gradually build up his confidence. As the second hour began, she relates that his attitude took an even more positive shift, to which she reacted by removing her bra and panties and laying down next to him. Then, in a patient and supportive manner, she encouraged him to spend some time in a manual exploration and examination of her body. Despite his initial shyness, he ended up having such a good time that, much to his doctor's delight, he often paused before the moment of orgasm in order to prolong his pleasure. B19 features in 2 1972 papers. Septal is called, one title is Septal, S-E-P-T-A-L, Septal Stimulation for the Initiation of Heterosexual Behavior in a Homosexual Male by Heath and his colleagues, Charles E. Moan. And another one is Pleasure and Brain Activity in Man by Heath alone, which set out, apparently for the first time, what happens to human brain waves during orgasm. The papers are extraordinary, at once academic and pornographic, clinical, detached, and queasily prurient, and they prompt all sorts of questions. Who was this Dr. Heath? How on earth did he come to carry out this experiment and get permission for it? And did it really, work? Did it work? In the course of trying to unravel these questions, I read Heath's paper, interviewed his former colleagues, and traveled to New Orleans to see where he worked and to watch the videos in which he reminisced about in his career. And what I found was something more remarkable than I could have imagined. The story of the man responsible for some of the strangest, boldest, most controversial experiments of the 20th century, yet who has been almost entirely written out of scientific history. The first thing you have to understand about Bob Heath is his charisma. If you were casting a movie and looking for someone to play the scientist hero, he would be the first and last name on your list. In every profile, every interview, the topic of his presence came up. He was Gary Cooper or Cary Grant or Gregory Peck in a crisp white lab coat. He looked like a god and carried himself like one, says his former colleague, Marilyn Skinner. The second thing is that he was talented, perhaps too talented. He was board certified in both psychiatry and neurology. And he was qualified psychoanalyst. He was a qualified psychoanalyst. He could treat a patient, diagnose a mental illness, read an EEG, and dash off a paper, all before heading off to the country club for a round of golf. The third thing is that the one true love of his life wasn't a woman, but an area of the brain. Imagine a line that goes through one ear and out the other. Now take another line that runs dead center from the top of the skull and down through your tongue. Where the two meet is what Heath labeled the septal area. Although scientists today would probably call it the nucleus accumbens, for Heath, it was the seat of pleasure and emotions that he thought would allow him to unlock the human brain. He was born in 1915 in Pittsburgh. Heath trained as a neurologist before being drafted into services as a military psychiatrist in World War II. He rapidly aligned himself with the new breed of biologists, psychiatrists, scientists, who argued that what were traditionally thought of as a disease of the mind were often actually diseases of the brain and could therefore be cured through surgery, not therapy. There was already some obvious evidence of this in the shape of the way that patients' behavior changed after prefrontal lobotomy. This was the most widespread form of what was known as psychosurgery, the surgical treatment of mental illness. Yet, even though the procedure, which involved chopping away the connections to much of the brain's frontal lobe, was growing in popularity, Heath and his colleagues at Columbia University rightly viewed it as crude and ineffective. They decided to compare it with a much less invasive alternative, which they called topectomy. This involved targeting and removing specific areas of the cortex in order to avoid wider damage to the brain. He had already developed a particular interest in schizophrenia, which he viewed as the single greatest challenge in mental health, affecting roughly 2% of Americans. He noticed that such patients seemed largely unaffected by either lobotomy or topectomy, since these procedures targeted only the most immediate accessible part of the brain, the cortex. He concluded that their symptoms must be more deep-rooted. So he began his investigation of the subcortex, literally the part below the surface. In one particular area, the septal region, appeared particularly promising. When it was damaged or destroyed in cats and monkeys, they started behaving in a startlingly similar fashion to people with schizophrenia. Their emotions were dulled, they lost their ability to experience pleasure, and they generally seemed to be removed from reality. This reinforced Health's burgeoning conviction that schizophrenia was a biological, not a psychological problem, something depended upon a defect in basic machinery rather than a complication of environment, as he would later write. By implementing electrodes into the deepest part of the brain, he could not only examine how this machinery operated, but also, he hoped, jolt it back into life. There was just one problem. He could and did carry out all the tests he wanted on animals, but he couldn't test his theories on humans, not so much for ethical reasons as because his colleagues at Columbia weren't interested in the subcortex. Then, on a trip to Atlantic City, he found himself lying on the beach next to a man from New Orleans. He was the dean of Tulane University's medical school, and he was looking to set up a psychiatric department. He heard good things about a guy called Bob Heath. "I'm Bob Heath," said Bob, and so they started to talk. For the 35-year-old, the job at Tulane was an irresistible opportunity. New Orleans was an academic backwater, but it had something very special. In the words of his future colleague, Arthur Epstein, a big, sprawling, beautiful hospital containing some of the sickest patients you will ever see. This was Charity Hospital, a vast, brutalist 1930s edifice through which the poor and sick of New Orleans flowed in their thousands. Heath was open about the fact that it was this endless supply of potential patients, or, as he put it, the tremendous amount of clinical material that attracted him to the job because it gave him the chance to realize his outsized ambitions. He moved to New Orleans in 1949. Within a year, he had persuaded Charity's governors to budget up to $400,000 to set up a 150-bed psychiatric unit on the third floor, which would enable him to tackle a waiting list of psychosurgery that was already 10 months long. If I'm not mistaken, I think this the hospital, this the psychiatric hospital, excuse me, this is a psychiatric hospital that Great Day Twain, that ended up on American Harvester. No, it ain't. Anyway, that's Briarcliff. Anyway, so boom. So Heath's new position made him one of the most powerful men in Louisiana mental health system. I think it is, though, but I could be wrong. As well as Charity, he had positions at other New Orleans hospitals such as DePaul, Taureau, and the Veterans Administration Center, and later Tulane's own private hospital. He maintained an experimental unit. Why are they giving us a backdrop on this motherfucker? Because this nigga cured homosexuality. That's why I'm keep reading this shit. Okay? So I gotta keep reading it. It's long. Ooh, I'm gonna start scrolling down. Ooh. Oh, wow, by 1955. Give me a second. Oh, I just find it. Okay, so this is how he took off. Ooh, still scrolling. Ah, wow, technicians. Ooh, Tyrese Sexton. Ooh, Peter Bregan. Ooh, whoever he is. We're in 1974 now. Oh, shit. Then, boom, the homosexual comes in. Boom, he cures the homosexual. This is when they started writing his 425 papers. The CIA jumps in. So, the CIA jumps in. Let me rewind it back a little bit. I'm going to skip a lot of this shit. All right, somebody asked for Claudia Mullen, her social worker and champion. Valerie Wolf had her license revoked over claims that she had exploited her clients and encouraged them to believe recovered memories that turned out to be false. Wolf is now dead, and Mullen has long been out of the public eye. Alan Shefflin, the Santa Clara law professor, who validated her claims of CIA abuse, refused multiple requests for an interview. Oh, Lord, honey, all this. I told you the classifieds that came out. Now I'm gonna have to go back. I can't skip this shit because now we're dealing with Nazi science. Oh my goodness. Hold on, goddamn, I'm gonna have to wind this shit back. The Nazi and the CIA pops up in this shit. Yeah. Despite the growing controversy, I'm going to take it from here. Heath retained his position and prestige, but Tulane was becoming increasingly worried about his reputation. In the early 1970s, donors to fund the electrode studies became harder to come by, as did official approval for procedures. Heath even took a brief sabbatical while the bad publicity died down. Yet, in terms of his ambition and his convictions about the brain, nothing of substance changed. Psychiatrist Marilyn Skinner. Okay, here she pops up. I hate you. Psychiatrist Marilyn Skinner remembers as a young resident in Tulane being given the case of a 22-year-old woman. She was wild. She couldn't get close to her. She was literally scared. Her whole body was scarred from her own cutting and burning. She was going to kill herself and somebody else too. He decided to carry out a radical surgical procedure, but couldn't get permission to do it in New Orleans. So he found a sympathetic hospital in California. And when the procedure took place, something amazing happened, Skinner said. He said they basically severed the connection between the two hemispheres of the brain. The hemispheres, for those that don't know, you have right side and the left side. So they disconnected it. okay? They severed it. And he says, I'm not kidding you. She was a dream after that. She showed warmth, gratitude. She was able to talk about her feelings and what happened and was no longer suicidal or homicidal. So they went in the brain and separated the hemisphere of the brain on this chick. And that's something. Now, interesting is I was told, dealing with the brain, the right and the left hemisphere of your brain, that it's already separated. And some of us, it's going to throw y'all off. I don't even know why I'm having this conversation with you. But it's supposed to focus on connecting the right and the left so that they can become one. The right and the left hemisphere of the brain so that they can become one. And that's how you're able to use 100% of your brain simultaneously on all sides. You get it? Like, light the fuck up. Like, the whole brain will be lit. But anyway, never mind. I share too much with you humans. Okay, back to the gay cure. Okay, so the girl is no longer homicidal. He separated those two brains. That is the tantalizing thing about Heath. Sometimes his wild ideas actually come out. Heath retired as chairman of his department in 1980 after 31 years at the helm, although he continued working for some years afterwards. Even before, in his death in 1999 at the age of 84, his reputation outside Tulane had become tarnished. He was known, if at all, not as the man who was the first to map out the pleasure circuit or as one of the earliest and most passionate advocates of the biological causation of schizophrenia, now the established orthodoxy, but as a man whose work seemed closer to science fiction than practical medicine. To some, he was a monster. Plain and simple. He used vulnerable patients to hone in his theories to no therapeutic benefit, causing many of them very significant harm. He tested psychoactive drugs on the unwitting, and Harry Bailey, an Australian doctor who briefly worked with Heath on his electrode study, accused him of picking out African Americans for his experiment because, as he put it, it was cheaper to use niggers than cats. They were everywhere and cheap experimental animals. I'll quote Heath again. He said it was cheaper to use niggers than cats. They were everywhere and cheap experimental animals. Oh, so niggas was cheap experimental animals. Niggas was everywhere and they're cheap experimental animals. The patients would be wired up and given a little box and just went around, pop, 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 all the time, continuous orgasms. So they put it on niggas. He experimented niggas to have continual orgasms, pop, 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 pop. A woman called Claudia Mullen even testified before Congress in 1995 that Heath had, when she came to him as a child patient, engaged in all kinds of unethical practices before handing her over to the custody of the CIA, where she was used as a sex slave. This gonna link up, y'all. I'm telling you, this whole shit is gonna link up to what I got next for you people. I know it's boring. This is not what the fuck you come for. But again, you got to see how diabolical these creatures are. And don't you ever think that ain't no more goddamn walking amongst us in universities, in hospitals, in politics, in law, education. Don't you ever think these motherfuckers done disappeared. They just, no. So anyway, this chick, Mayor Claudia, is an African American. They handed this bitch over in the custody of the CIA, and the CIA used her as a sex slave. He has been accused of mind control, of barbarity, of Nazi science, of using prisoners in Charity, Jackson, and elsewhere as his plaything. Get it? All right, to some, he was a monster, plain and simple. Yet his former colleagues almost uniformly tell a very different story. Other than my parents, says James Eaton, he was the most formidable mentor and leader and an idea that I had. A leader and ideal that I had. For John Goethe, another who worked with him at Tulane, nobody was more devoted to trying to find a cure for the people he felt medicine had neglected. He was in psychiatry and neurology rather than cardiology and dermatology because he felt we're not paying enough attention to these folks. Yes, he was arrogant and temperamental. It would be easy for him to win a contest to see who could divide a room quickest. But he was also inspirational. In an obituary, fellow Tulane neurologist Leon Weisberg called him a true visionary, an extraordinary clinician, teacher, administrator, scientist, and friend. How to reconcile these two, Bob Heath? Certainly it is easy to cast doubt on the wilder allegations. Bailey quotes come from a long, rambling, drunken speech decades after the event. Remember the dude died in, 95 or some old shit? Just during the 1930s? Motherfucking, okay, never mind. Y'all ain't paying attention. And he himself was a genuine monster whose deep sleep therapy, based on the idea that the human brain would be more malleable of the patient, were plunged into a barbiturate-induced coma, killed dozens of people. In fact, given New Orleans demographics, here we go, African Americans appear to have been underrepresented in Heath's electrode studies rather than the reverse. As for Claudia Mullen, remember the black lady? Her social worker and champion, Valerie Wolf, had her license revoked over claims that she had exploited her clients and encouraged them to believe recovery memories that turned out to be false. Valerie Wolf is now dead, and Claudia Mullen has long been out of the public eye. Alan Shefflin, the Santa Clara law professor who validated her claims of CIA abuse, refused multiple requests for interviews. They love using niggas, don't they? Niggas are animals. Heath may have gone to extremes, but he had many companions in excess. In 1963, a different group of scientists at Tulane started transplanting chimpanzee kidneys into humans. This is 1963 now. You hear that? Taking chimpanzee kidneys and placing them into humans. Lobotomies, deep sleep therapy, insulin shock. Heath's electrodes were, in comparison, a relatively dedicated intervention. There was some shit going on in the 1960s, wasn't it? He generally used them. He insisted on incurable sick patients for whom all other treatments had been tried and had failed, although the B19 case, for those that are just coming in, the B19 case is like 1930s, 1940s, homosexual male comes in, psychiatric, and this Dr. Bob Heath cures him, homosexual, put electrode through his motherfucking brain. Anyway, so this is why we're reading. So although the B19 case and others suggest that this is not entirely true, and while he did map out the aversive areas of his patient's brains, including a site which stimulated would turn on intense killing rage instantaneously, and carry out that experiment with bulbocapnine on the CIA's behalf. Look up bulbocapnine. I told you, all this shit is declassified now, motherfucker. On the CIA's behalf, he also claimed to have rejected a request from the CIA to study the brain's pain center. Yet, this, in an odd way, is precisely what makes Heath so fascinating and his career so relevant today. He was not a villainous outlier, crackling to himself in a basement, but the respect head of a major university department, someone who was not only in academic mainstream, but had defined, at least for Tulane University, what that mainstream was. His excesses and his flaws and his failures to accept his limitations were therefore all the more significant. Now, boom, back to the CIA. So we're about to get into it. And they wrote a book called Brain Control. All types of shit. Man, and don't you got a brain? Don't the CIA still exist? We're about to get into MK Ultra and a whole bunch of other shit like that they implemented. Okay? And you remember now, some of us don't always remember this shit. We were telling motherfuckers about MK Ultra, mind control, heart project. You understand? All that shit. I know I was in the 90s. And I was still a little girl, kind of, sort of, but not really ish. But because your government created a division and made up a word called conspiracy theorists and used the media to use the word, this is before we were born now, newbies. That conspiracy theory, they made up the word conspiracy theory in the 1950s. Okay? Your government. And then gave it to the media, to newspapers and all them motherfuckers. So anybody that knew what was going on with the government and what they were hiding, the newspapers, the television news, and all the rest of them, which is happening now, they would keep using the word, that person is a conspiracy theorist. The government created that. There's a book on that, too. We started reading it earlier this year, I think, and on the show. But, yeah, how they actually created the whole department of conspiracy theory and fed it to the public. That anybody that absolutely knows what we're doing, we're going to call them a conspiracy theorist. And we're going to use the media, newspaper, journalists to also create that in the minds of the masses that this person is a conspiracy theorist. And so that's what we have today. Especially when that COVID hit. Oh my God, they was using the hell out of the word conspiracy theorist because it still works and it downplays the truth. If I can get the masses to believe in the word that I created called conspiracy theory, meaning the government created it, and fed it to your moms and dads in the 40s and 50s, all the way to the 60s and 70s, to the 80s and 90s, and here we are in 2021 AD. So you'll see all this shit pops up, man. I wish you guys had enough sense to dig into a lot of the files that was declassified outside of, so because it all go together. It all is puzzles, it's pieces, it's fucking proof that there's no such thing as a conspiracy theorist. It's all fucking true. It's amazing. But they created that conspiracy theorist department to do damage control of those that could expose these motherfuckers. Call them conspiracy theorists. She's a motherfucker, man. These motherfuckers know, boy. They know how to goddamn downplay what they really doing, because they got everybody working for them. They know how to downplay it. This shit here is amazing. 2 o'clock hour. All right. So the CIA wanted him to work for them. You know what I'm saying? Wanted he to work for them. And it's a lot. It's on my page, by the way, if y'all want to continue reading it. But I'm going to go to the next one real quick. Because this is released now, too. And this is, listen to this. This is campaigns. I'm moving on, okay, from Heath. But this is all connected. The campaigns against racist federal programs by the Center for the Study of I can't fucking say the word. I've been saying it for a whole hour. Psychiatry and psychology. Let me do it again. Campaigns against racist federal programs by the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology. Okay? You understand? The year is 1970. I'll do it again. Campaigns against racist federal programs. And niggas love to go into federal programs, don't they? Disguised by the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology. Shall I begin? It's 21 pages for the record. And I want y'all to know this shit. I want you to see that they was operating and still is operating on little black children. Okay? I need y'all to still know that shit. Okay? I need y'all to know that there's nothing new above or below the motherfucking sun. Nothing new. Still happening. All right, here we go. I'll give you a little bit of this. All right. The study for the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology was founded in the early 1970s. I wonder why. The Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology was founded in the early 1970s to organize my international campaign to stop the resurgence of lobotomy, which they did to, what they say? Which they did to what? What that guy named in Africa? Mandela. They lobotomized him. Lobotomy is still happening, motherfuckers. So anyway, the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology was founded in the early 1970s to organize my international campaign to stop the resurgence of lobotomy and other forms of psychosurgery and psychiatric brain surgery. Initially, I had no idea that my campaign would end up focusing on the racist intentions of federally funded biological psychiatrists and neurosurgeons. I certainly could not have anticipated that 20 years later, the center would once again be fighting a government-sponsored racist psychiatric program. This report tells the story of the first and second violence initiatives and the center's efforts to counter them, and they always gonna counter it. The first violent initiative, y'all ready? I gotta give it to you. In 1971, I discovered that psychiatrists and neurosurgeons were planning and implementing a worldwide revival of psychosurgery. At the time, I was not an activist, but I was aware that no one had publicly opposed the first round of lobotomies in the 1940s and 50s. I decided to take a stand. My medical training convinced me that improving the techniques of psychiatric surgery, for an example, by replacing the scalpel with hot electrodes would not make the intervention any less damaging without harming the brain. There could be no therapeutic effort or therapeutic effect. The surgery must destroy enough function to flatten the patient's emotions. Remember, I gave y'all heat, right? And remember, that's your pleasure center, right? Remember, I gave y'all heat, right? You know I'm tied in. Now, this is the Journal of African American Men. You hear me? Listen now, this is the Journal of African American Men. I'm reading. I'm on the PDF file, motherfucker. All right. Without harming the brain, there could be no therapeutic effect. The surgery must destroy enough function to flatten the patient's emotions. There is no way to accomplish that without creating more widespread mental devastation, including the relative loss of essential human qualities such as creativity, spontaneity, personal responsibility, self-insight, social sensitivity and awareness, and judgment. Research and my personal experiences would confirm this initial impression. Psychosurgery, individual vulnerability, and public health. Shortly after beginning my opposition to psychosurgery, I came under attack in the national media from an unexpected source, 3 Harvard professors, psychiatrist Frank Irvin, neurosurgeon Vernon Mark, and William Sweet. Sweet was director of neurosurgery at perhaps the most respected hospital in the world, the Massachusetts General. Mark was head of the Department of Neurosurgery at Boston City Hospital. As the controversy heated up, a physician who asked for anonymity directed me to publish remarks made by the 3 doctors concerning the use of brain surgery to suppress Black urban rioters. Stop right there, Nicole. Listen. Did y'all hear that? But y'all don't know. I don't know what the fuck y'all do other than listen to my goddamn show. And that's only for 4 hours out the goddamn 24-hour day. But let me tell you something. I'm gonna read it again. Remember I said something about this 1960s and 70s shit, didn't it? Let me do it. Let me do it again for you motherfuckers. Come closer. As the controversy heated up, a physician who asked for anonymity directed me to publish remarks made by the 3 doctors concerning the use of brain surgery to suppress Black urban rioters. Boys and girls, do you know all roads lead to Bill Gates even today? All roads lead to Bill Gates. This is what they might be on a new goddamn YouTube channel if I tell you this shit. This wild guy, they got a bitch. Listen to me. I have to find it, but part of this, y'all know the alcoholic people that like to go to the bar and keep getting shots because they tell them, the bartender says, you need another shot. You know them, right? You know who I'm talking about, right? Well, interesting enough, they finally figured out how to alter the brain of African American rioters. Now this shit here, y'all, I ain't gonna say they finally figured out, but they made something a hell of a lot different than you actually going to a psychiatric hospital and come out where you don't want to ride no fucking more. You got me? You understand? This in 2021, they got something you wouldn't even fucking know they done put in your ass to have your ass not want to riot. See? So this is 1973, y'all. You got me? And also in 2020, motherfucking one. Okay? Grant, let me read what you got in here. Grandma said, Dade County, number 1, Dade County, SFETC, Dade County was still experimenting, 92 and 93. They closed it down and reopened deeper into South Florida, destroying, so they say, the records of SFETC1. At least you and me are the only motherfuckers that can follow the goddamn breadcrumbs. Okay? I think that's what they did to Kodak Black, NBA young boy, when they went to prison. And you know I'm going to throw in Gucci Man, because that nigga ain't Gucci Man, that motherfucker there. That nigga ain't Gucci Man. And that nigga ain't Kodak Black, and that nigga ain't NBA Youngboy. Absolutely. So, but now you see, we can see this shit today. But this shit here, I'ma find it, that, because I did see something that they have now figured out a way to, in the Negro areas, highly populated Negroes, to send something towards their brain. I'm going to call it, because I need to call it, say what I need to say it as, that 5G, bitch. I have to use it. I think it showed where 5G is going after black people, right, to prevent their brains to stop them from rioting and looting. Part of that 5G deals with that shit. Gotta say it. I gotta say it. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at that shit I saw and then come back and report that I was right or I was wrong, or just have it right in my face to tell y'all that shit. So here we are now. The year is 1973. Kodak Black, NBA Youngboy, Gucci Man, not here in 1973. Right? So remember, take it from there. As the controversy heated up, a physician who asked for anonymity directed me to publish remarks made by the three doctors concerning the use of brain surgery to suppress black rioters, urban rioters. Remember, this is the 70s, right? Remember, they were rioting a lot. They even riot when Martin Luther King was assassinated. It was tearing up a whole bunch of shit. So soon after, in 1973, I received a brown envelope from an unidentified source in the Department of Justice. It contained an in-house memo documenting that Mark and Irvin were receiving funds from the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, for experiments in psychosurgery for violence control. Meanwhile, Irvin was also receiving money from the Department of Justice for research on, guess what? Genetic factors in violent crimes. This is 1973, boys and girls. Sweet, the other doctor, was involved as a supporter, co-author, and a member of the private foundation that funneled the government funds to Mark and Irvin. See this shit? So in 1967, if y'all can remember what was going on in 1967, remember, even though we wasn't born, but we was just coming into being in the 70s, by the time the 80s hit, they was telling us about 1967, baby. In 1967, letter entitled Role of Brain Disease in Riots and Urban Violence. Okay? In a 1967 letter entitled Role of Brain Disease in Riots and Urban Violence in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association. This is in that fucking journal. The Role of Brain Disease in Riots and Urban Violence. And look, they calling it, look, what year is this? 1967. Please get a pen and paper and write and follow this shit all the way to 2020 motherfucking 1. It's important. Because ain't nothing new above or below the sun. And if you think that these demons ain't no longer motherfucking here doing this goddamn sick shit, you next. You next, motherfucker. Okay? All right. Now, the role of, here's what I want to say. The role of, 1967 letter entitled Role of Brain Disease in Riots and Urban Violence. Now, remember, niggas was being mistreated right? Niggas was being hung, same way today. As a matter of fact, about 2 weeks ago, a black girl was found hung from a tree. I didn't want to give it to y'all. Kept it to myself. But look here. So niggas was being hung. Niggas was being murdered by cops, all types of shit, right? Beat by cops, and niggas started rioting. Your government decided to get with neurologists, psychosurgery ass motherfuckers, psychiatrists, and then the Journal of American Medical fucking Association wrote what you guys were doing in the 60s, tearing up shit, upset. They called it you had a brain disease. You have a brain disease. Every time you riot, it's a brain disease. And why are you rioting? Because something happened to one of your kind, right? Something happened to somebody in your race. And somebody outside your race was doing this shit. But they said that you have a brain disease. You see this shit? So let me tell you what happens next. They want to be able to get away with what they do without niggas getting pissed off and reacting. So it all goes back to when they opened up in 1970, the Department of Psychiatry, the Center for Psychiatry and Psychology. You see that? That was for you niggas. Wasn't for nobody the fuck else. You hear me? That was for niggas. The Center for Psychology and Psychiatry. Now let me continue. Woo! I'll do it again. And this time I won't stop. In a letter written 1967, entitled Role of Brain Disease in Riots and Urban Violence in the Journal of the American Medical Association, Mark Sweet, and Irvin, much like current violence initiative advocates, focus on individual vulnerability rather than upon larger social, economic, or political factors. They ask, if slum conditions alone determine an initiated riot, why are the vast majority of slum dwellers able to resist the temptations of unrestrained violence? Let me give y'all that question they asked again. I forgot back in the days they called it the slum. Niggas call it the ghetto now. That's right. They ask, if slum conditions alone determined an initiated riot, why are the vast majority of slum dwellers able to resist the temptation of unrestrained violence? Is there something peculiar about the violent slum dweller that differentiates him from his peaceful neighbor? You hear that? You hear that? So they're saying the neighbor doesn't have any slum conditions and is peaceful. The other person has slum conditions and is not able to restrain from violence. Yeah. And unable to resist temptation of unrestrained violence. So Mark Sweet, and Irvin went on to suggest this. Peculiar was brain dysfunction. They called for a larger scale studies of the inner city to pinpoint, diagnose, and treat those people with low violence thresholds before they contribute to future tragedies. You hear it? In a supportive medical news report a few weeks later, the Journal of American Medical Medicine Association JAMA, from this point on, I'm going to call it JAMA, lauded Mark and Irvin psychosurgery as a public health measure. Mark and Irvin must have felt they were on a heroic Nobel Prize-winning endeavor, providing a solution to worldwide mayhem, and especially to America's urban uprising. In 1968, a year in which they were aggressively experimenting on patients, 1968, they wrote a psychiatric opinion that brain dysfunction was equally important to poverty, unemployment, and substandard housing as a cause of urban violence. They estimated that tens of millions of Americans might be violence prone as a result of brain damage. Okay? 1968, baby. In testimony on civil disorders before a New York State Legislative Committee in 1968, look it up, it's Byrd, 1968. William Sweet said, mass violence might be touched off by leaders suffering from temporal seizures of the brain. I'll do it again. Said that mass violence might be touched off by leaders suffering from temporal seizures of the brain. Sweet made a pitch for the electrical stimulation of surgically implanted electrodes as a method of calming violent people. Mark Irvin, and Sweet had their greatest PR coup when their work made the cover of Life, remember Life magazine, on June 21st, 1968, Rosenfeld, 1968. Life observed, here's what it says. The psychobiology approach, new as it is gaining adherence so fast that it might also be called a movement, end quote. Life seemed, the magazine, the paper, Life seemed to endorse their efforts toward biomedical social control. Get it? Biomedical social control. Here's what it says. In a slum neighborhood, everyone may live under the same frustrating set of pressures and tensions, but only a small minority will engage in rioting, and even among the rioters, only a handful will actually burn down a building or assault another person. Thus, psychobiology proceeds on the premise that violent acts are carried out by violent individuals, even if the individuals are a part of a mob. The article gave a big spread to Mark Irvin's psychosurgery for violence. Now, got a guy that pops up, Thomas Ara. The Fate of Thomas Ara. In their book, Violence in the Brain, look it up, it came out in 1970, Violence in the Brain. And elsewhere, Mark and Irvin described Thomas Ara, sometimes called Leonard K., as a young white man largely saved from epilepsy and completely saved from violence by psychosurgery. When describing his outcome, they mentioned no serious side effects. He was their star patient. The patient's mother, Miss G, read my criticism of Mark and Irvin in the Boston Globe and realized for the first time what had been done to her son. She wrote to me that in reality, he had been reduced almost to a vegetable. Thomas' tragic story is retold in detail in Bregan and Bregan, The War Against Children. I'm still reading the Journal of African American Men, by the way. Mark and Irvin lose their funding. As a result of the anti-psychosurgery campaign, all of Mark, Irvin, and Sweet's federal funding for genetic and psychosurgical experimentations was cut off. As a long-delayed satisfaction to us, we learned this year that the Center's campaign against the Department of Justice Law Enforcement Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, LEAA, Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, funding for Irvin had brought about a dramatic reversal in official government policy. A guideline entitled Use of LEAA, Law Enforcement Assistance Administration, funds for psychosurgery and medical research was signed by the LEAA Administrator, Donald E. Santarelli, on June 19, 1974. The guideline declared that any future grant applications for psychosurgery would be denied. It further stipulated that all medical research, unless risk-free, would be denied and referred instead to the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, DHEW, which is now Department of Human Health and Human Service, DHHS. So in 1974, it was Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and now it is the Department of Health, Human Services. It forbids states to use LEAA block grants to do psychosurgery or medical experimentation. You ready? Operating on little black children. Shall we begin? As far as we know, Mark and Irvin did not perform their psychosurgery experiments on any African Americans with more limited political aims. Perhaps another surgeon was operating on numerous black children. When I began researching the return of psychosurgery in the early 1970s, I quickly came upon the work of O.J. Andy, who is the director of neurosurgery at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, in Jackson. He was publishing reports on multiple surgical interventions into the brains of small children aged 5 to 12 who were diagnosed as aggressive and hyperactive. Of his 30 to 40 patients, he wrote me in 1971, most were children. Before the controversy hit the press, I phoned Andy, who later told me he could not recall the race of any of the children. Later, I contacted a civil rights attorney in Mississippi who was able to determine that most of them were housed in a segregated black institution for the developmentally disabled. The attorney got on to the wards where the nurses told him with frustration that Andy had completely free hand in picking children for psychosurgery. Now, in 1966, Andy described J.M., age 9, who was hyperactive, aggressive, combative, explosive, destructive, sadistic, a 9-year-old black child. Over a 3-year period, Andy performed 4 separate mutilating operations involving at least 6 lesions with implanted electrodes. The youngster was at first said to be doing well. In a subsequent 1970 article, Andy again claimed that J.M., the little boy, is no longer so combative and negative. Then he added, intellectually, however, the patient is deteriorating. While Andy did not take an activist political position like Mark, Irvin, and Sweet, he did tell B.J. Mason, a reporter for Ebony, that black urban rioters could have normal, let's do it again. He told Ebony magazine that black urban rioters could have abnormal pathologic brains and should undergo tests with whatever capacity we have now. Following worldwide publicity about his operations during the anti-psychosurgery campaign in 1973, a committee of his peers at the university declared his research experimental. When Andy did not establish appropriate experimental protocols, he was prohibited from operating. Andy himself declared in 1980 that he had been forced to stop operating due to sociological pressures in his home community. Now, let's go to 1973. Violence centers throughout urban America. 1973. So in his 1973 State of the State message, California Governor Ronald Reagan announced plans for the establishment of a biomedical facility, the Center for the Study of the Reduction of Violence. Supported by state and federal funds, the first center was planned for the psychiatry department at UCLA, headed by Louis Jolin, known as Jolly West. Jolly, a flamboyant psychiatrist known for his ability to hitch himself to hot topics. An early draft of West's proposed UCLA Center described using schools in Chicano and African-American neighborhoods to screen for possible genetic defects. It also mentioned the possibility of psychosurgery. The suggestion of psychosurgery for control of violence was especially menacing in California because Santa Monica neurosurgeon M.H. Brown was strongly advocating it. So, in January 22nd, 1972, letter to the Los Angeles Times, he wrote, "It is either this psychosurgery or a further escalation of violence and chaos in society that does not serve the best interests of the United States." Remember, we in the 70s, boys and girls, say it loud, you black and you proud. The militant mind is what they're talking about. Meanwhile, Frank Irvin left the collapsing Boston project and came to join West at UCLA. Irvin's arrival at the critical juncture alerted people to the center's potential dangers. Despite denials from psychiatrists, West and Irvin, the discovery of reference to genetics and psychosurgery in the original proposal proved politically fatal. Who's your president? Never mind. Opposed by who's your governor right now? UCLA. Ronald Reagan. Opposed by the center and a coalition of West Coast reformers, the planned string of federal violence centers never got off the ground. Okay? Now let's go to trial. The Kamowitz, never heard of it, but the Kamowitz trial. Kaimowitz trial. In 1972, the state of Michigan and the Lafayette Clinic of Wayne State University began planning an experimental psychosurgery program for the control of violence using voluntary inmates of the state hospital system. Gay Kamowitz, at the time a Michigan legal service lawyer, heard about the upcoming medical event and intervened in the court on behalf of John Doe and 24 other state psychiatric inmates scheduled for eventual enrollment in the experimental program. Comparing black to bulls. Comparing blacks to bulls. Ernest Rodden was the chief neurologist and the moving force behind the Lafayette Clinic's psychosurgery project. In 1972, Rodden wrote a lengthy speech describing psychosurgery and castration as fitting treatment for some of the violent behavior displayed in the riots that had raged in his city of Detroit. Who is this guy? He's the chief neurologist, okay? He wants to castrate the niggas, right? Castration and psychosurgery. So he wants to use psychosurgery and castration as a fitting treatment for the black people in Detroit, the Detroit riot. I'm pretty sure y'all remember that, right? 1972. Rodden, the chief neurologist, voiced doubts about doing psychosurgery without sterilization. All roads still leads to Bill Gates, don't it? Basically, he's saying that psychotherapy is not going to just work by itself. Sterilizing these niggas along with psychosurgery is best. Okay? You hear me? So, castration. Now let's see what happens next. We're in the year 1970, comparing blacks to bulls, the DC riot. Now, I'll do it again. Rodden voiced doubts about doing psychosurgery without sterilization because with psychosurgery alone, the now hopefully more placid dullard can inseminate, you hear that? Can inseminate other equally dull young females to produce further dull and aggressive offspring. You hear this shit? What is this the white man is telling you, motherfuckers? We're going to have to sterilize these niggas. The now hopefully more placid dullard niggas can inseminate. That's why we got to castrate. Can inseminate other equally dull young black females to produce further dull and aggressive offspring. Rodden argued that children of limited intelligence tend to become violent when they are treated as equals. You hear this? Rodden argued that children of limited intelligence tend to become violent when they are treated as equals. Can I say something? Yes, you can, Don. Well, all of this is going on in the 60s and the 70s. These diabolical white men is plotting your destruction and your children's destruction while niggas are in the streets in the 60s and 70s, right? Armed with knowledge and all of that, right? This is the 60s and 70s, motherfuckers. You hear me? Nice, beautiful black songs are out. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. All types of shit. You hear me? All this black consciousness is going on, and these sick-ass motherfuckers, along with your federal fucking government, is plotting, is funding the minds of Caucasian neuroscientists and Jews to figure out how to castrate these niggas and do psychosurgery on them while they out here with their fist in the fucking air. You understand? Of course, if you remember the D.C. riot, why it was the D.C. riots in 1972, niggas just don't riot. It's something you fucking crackers did. And see, that's a typical for a goddamn cracker. they incite this shit on you, and then they go to the damn drawing board to brainstorm on how to kill you. After they the ones that started this shit. Yo, Rodden, this is in the papers. Look it up. He argued that children of limited intelligence tend to become violent when they are treated as equals. He wanted them brought up in an authoritarian lifestyle. Authoritarian. I first time heard this goddamn word. I think Meth or Fireliners or somebody used the word authoritarian. So he wanted the Negro children to be brought up in an authoritarian lifestyle. You ain't getting equality. You niggas can keep yelling that shit. It's gonna always be an authoritarian lifestyle for your children's children. And this conversation is happening in the 1970s by a neurosurgeon. So wanted them to be brought up in an authoritarian lifestyle and declared that many of them, like aggressive bulls, should be turned into docile oxen by means of castration. In the neurologist's own words, it was time to get down to cold-blooded medical research dealing with individuals rather than masses. Y'all still sleep about this world. I would be asleep if I didn't have children. I wouldn't mind living in la fucking land and stay oblivious to what has been done and what is still being done today if I didn't have children. You know what I'm saying? And if I wasn't melanin enriched, or as the crackers have us saying, or Jesse Jackson calling us African American. Crackers calling us black and brown now. So, anyway, got to keep an eye on these bastards. This is the same shit. I'm telling you, I can't say a lot. If I mention what's happening now, YouTube, bitch, faggot ass bastard, gonna snatch Lockdown Radio down. Gonna be fucking punished for exposing what they are doing, what they've been doing for the past 20 years, working on, and here it is right the fuck now. It's the same shit, but it goes hand in hand with the whole pandemic. Goes hand in hand with the whole goddamn shots you gotta keep drinking at the bar. It goes hand in hand with the 5G and all that type of shit. And I swear to God, motherfuckers, if y'all stay up on technology, websites and goddamn, technology websites and articles, they got the fucking shit to fuck your brains up. They're still trying to stop you niggas from rioting. They done figured out the formula. This time, they don't have to round you niggas up and throw you on some white bed and crack open your fucking brain and take whatever the fuck shit off that pisses you the fuck out. So you won't take it out on their ass next time they kill a nigga. You'll stay docile. You'll stay under an authoritarian lifestyle. That's how they want it. But now they got this shit. They are admitting that they got something for you motherfuckers that you would never know. That you don't have to walk in to a medical institution. You can be sitting in your fucking house. And they have this new technology that it cracks into your brain, baby. You don't even feel it. And then they shut your ass the fuck down as a nigga. They admit this technology, baby. They got it for you. Google it. The key words are, let's do this. Technology or scientists have now figured out a way to stop rioters from looting, or some old shit like that. Just type in technology or a new invention or some old shit, because I saw it 2 days ago. And come to find out, they've been trying to figure this shit out since the 1970s on how to get Negroes to conform. Since the fucking 70s, since 1960. Thank you, Ms. Hudson. She says, yep, biofeedback deals with brain neurons. You're dancing with me. At least I got 2 now. Let's move on. Here we go. The verdict. Kamowitz invited me to testify as his medical expert, and during 2 days on the stand, I gave a history of state mental hospitals and psychosurgery. I wanted the 3 judges to understand that state mental hospitals are similar to Nazi concentration camps and how they suppress and humiliate their involuntary inmates. And I wanted to suggest the applicability of the Nuremberg Code. Y'all familiar with the Nuremberg Code, right? The Nuremberg Code was originally written into the final opinions of the judges at the first war crimes tribunals in post-war Germany. It consists of 10 principles for permissible medical experiments. The first principle states in part that the human subject should be so situated as to be able to exercise free power of choice without the intervention of any element of force, fraud, deceit, duress, overreaching, or other ulterior form of constraint or coercion. Look it up. It's called The Trials of War Criminals, 1946, 1949. And when you pull it up, go to page 181 and read it to 182. It's right there, baby. Right there, boo-boo. Now, the Nuremberg Code means that Jewish inmates of concentration camps were not actually volunteers when they seemingly agreed to participate in medical experiments, such as being frozen in ice water. If they did acquiesce to these experiments, their consent was coerced by fear of other worse alternatives, such as torture or death in the gas chamber. Let me stop there for a second. We're in Germany right now. Can you get there? Are you there? Let's travel there for a second. All that happened there in Germany and other places as well with the Nazis. Now let's bring it closer to maybe 80s, 1990s, and 2000 or whatever. Well, I have a daughter in med school, and she goes beyond actually her research that is told in her curriculum that she has to study. This bitch go everywhere. And she told me about an experiment that they recently did. Asked for some volunteers to volunteer in this experiment, right? And this experiment, the people that volunteered said yes, they'll do it. So here's, and you can find it, maybe some of y'all see it if y'all, be interested in this type of shit. But what they had, picked regular people, and they were in this room, right? Follow me closely. They're in this room, and there's a glass window in the room, and on the other side of the glass is a person that they don't know, you understand? And there is, key word here, an authority figure, right, standing next to the volunteers, the authority figure, right, with a, how do you call it, what do you call that shit people put paper on? A clipboard. Holding the clipboard, right, and telling the volunteers what to do. So what they did was they told the volunteers that the person on the other side, right, of the window that you see is not going to be harmed. All you got to do, if you want to, is push this button and you'll feel their reaction. I mean, you'll send a reaction to them, right? And the button or the lever is like a shock dial, and you just shock them one time. Now, the authority figure says to each volunteer, you don't have to if you don't want to, but they won't feel anything when you shock them. When you shock them this one time on this lever, they won't feel it. So you have a choice now to walk out from volunteering, or you can continue on and shock this person. So everyone that volunteered and agreed that, so you saying to me, when I shock them at this level, they won't feel nothing. They won't feel a thing. So they all agreed to stay and shock the motherfucker behind the window. So they shocked them at the level where the authority told them they won't feel nothing. And of course, the person on the other side didn't feel shit at the level they shocked them at. These are volunteers. What are volunteers? The dumb fucking masses, right? So after they shocked them, and they didn't feel, and they knew that the person behind the window, on the other side of the window, didn't feel a goddamn thing, the authority figure with the clipboard says, you could turn the shock dial up a notch and shock them, and they will feel it. If you don't want to, you hear me? They'll only feel it a little bit. But if you don't want to, you can leave now. Or you can stay and proceed on. So the dumbasses, the volunteers, decided to stay and turn the notch up, just like the authority figure told them, and see what would happen. And so the dumbasses, volunteers, all of them at this point, now they still staying on this trial with this trial, turned it up, shocked the person on the other side of the window, felt their shock, heard them go, ah! Got it? And so when they heard the ah from the person on the other side of the window, the authority figure stands again. Now, you don't have to, if you don't want to, you can turn it up a little bit more, or you could leave. But if you want to see what happens next, on the next dial, their reaction, you're more than welcome to stay. And all the volunteers agreed to fucking stay. Now, they turned it up a little higher the third time. Now, this motherfucker has the person on the other side of the window is like, ah! Right? Do you know out of however many it was, when they felt that, the volunteers, the dumb masses, the authority figure with the clipboard says, if you want to take it a little higher, you can. Or if you don't want to participate no more, you can leave. I think she told me only 2 of the volunteers didn't want to experience no more, they didn't want to hear no more pain coming from this person. And so they left. The rest of the volunteers stayed because they wanted to see what else would happen. Right? And mind you, the authority figure is only making suggestions, but still leaving the choice up to the fucking volunteers to make on their own. Do you want to increase the pain, or do you want to stop right there and leave exit out of the test, the volunteer test, as volunteering. So they kept giving them choices, but these volunteers took the choice to continue to torture the motherfucker on the other side of the window. You get it? until some couldn't take it no more, but they were afraid. Come to find out, once they interviewed all of these volunteers, some was so afraid, y'all, this is the moral, to go against the authorities, nigga, with the clipboard. Even the one that was giving them choices, they were afraid. So some felt that they had to keep going because that's what the authority figure wanted them to do. And others was really priding themselves off of seeing someone else in pain. But the majority was afraid to go against the authority, even though it suggested you could leave. You don't have to go through this. You don't have to continue causing harm to this motherfucker. That experiment was based on control. Yep, newbie. Control. Control that is in the brain of these people to think they didn't want to disappoint the authority motherfuckers. They never wanted to actually do the first one, neither the second shot, nor the third shot on them motherfuckers, but they was afraid of the motherfucker with the clipboard. So they kept causing harm to the motherfucker on the other side of the window because they didn't want to disappoint the authority. And they figured that's what they wanted. This study just came out. Well, just came to me. She told me this shit about 2 weeks ago. Now, back to this real quick. And we're about to go into overtime. Anybody want to reset their phone or whatever, call in 425-569-5274. You got about 4 minutes before we go into overtime. This is a motherfucker here, though. So now we got an idea of the Nuremberg Code. Man, this is 19 fucking 70s. Can you believe this shit? Anyway, all right. So the Jews, remember, the Jewish inmates didn't really want to fucking participate. But they was in concentration camps, and they didn't actually volunteer. And they was using experiments on their ass, such as putting their ass in freezing them in ice water. If they did acquiesce to these experiments, their consent was coerced by fear, of other worse alternatives, such as torture or death in the gas chamber. As hearing a spectrum of witnesses, the three judges agreed with the substance of my testimony, including the devastating effects of the most modern psychosurgery. Their official opinion cited the Nuremberg Code and used it as one reason for prohibiting consent to psychosurgery in the state mental hospitals of Michigan. Okay? Remember, Detroit, Michigan. They trying to get these niggas to take their ass into the mental hospital so this particular doctor, what's his name, Kamelwitz, can perform castration on Detroit rioters and neurosurgery, psychosurgery on them, just to bring you up to speed. So, what happens next? Whew. The official opinion
90 seconds
code and used it as one reason for prohibiting consent to psychosurgery in the state of mental hospitals, in the state mental hospitals of Michigan. There I was. The judges found that involuntarily confined patients cannot reason as equals with doctors and administrators over whether they should undergo psychosurgery. They declared that under First Amendment freedoms, the government has no power
60
or
seconds
right to control men's minds, thoughts, and expression. If the First Amendment protects the freedom to express ideas, it necessarily follows that it must protect the freedom to generate ideas. Well, that's out the blue now, because you got all these techies and these nano motherfuckers coming to alter your thoughts and make you generate ideas that they want you to fucking have. Ain't no goddamn Constitution no more, baby. The opinion was never appealed and stands to this day. It continues to inhibit the performance of psychosurgery throughout the country, especially in state mental hospitals and prisons.
10
As
seconds.
described in the war against children, there are contemporary attempts to revive lobotomy and other forms of psychosurgery, although none of the advocates now dare tie their work to political aims. What keeps advocates of psychosurgery from proceeding ahead full throttle? Let's ask the question again. What keeps advocates of psychosurgery from proceeding ahead full throttle? Remember, we're in the 70s. It is their own scientific caution or ethical. Is it their own scientific caution or ethical concern? Oh, here we go. The most diabolical motherfucker pops up, y'all. In Psychosurgery, 1992, Rogers quotes Donlin Long, the Johns Hopkins Director of Neurosurgery. I got a quiz for you motherfuckers. Who owns Johns Hopkins? Who funds the shit out of Johns Hopkins? Remember now, Event 201, COVID, Event 201, YouTube, Johns Hopkins. Who funded Event 201? Rockefeller. Thank you. Rockefeller, John Hopkins. Rockefeller funds Johns Hopkins. Event 201 on YouTube, uploaded by Johns Hopkins. Who funded that? Bill Gates. The whole COVID, before there was a COVID. Like you're watching a fucking movie. Event 201. Right? Right? And guess who's related, Miss Hudson, to Rockefeller? Bill Gates, baby. Bill Gates. Bill Gates, baby. Down the line of the female germ. The female germ side of his lineage is tied into the female germ side that gave birth to the Rockefellers today. They all related, girl. I've always tell y'all it's a family affair. It's a family fucking affair. And also, on his side, he's related. He's a descendant to that Queen Elizabeth bitch. She knighted this nigga, Bill. She knighted her own kinfolk, Bill Gates. It's amazing. It's a family affair. Yep, all a family affair. Now, here's what, in Psychosurgery 1992, Rogers quotes Donlin Long, the Johns Hopkins Director of Neurosurgery. Here's the quote. You'll also need an institutional commitment to absolutely pristine science and the guts to tell the Peter Bregans of the world to stuff it. He long added, referring to the psychiatrist Peter Bregan's lifelong battle to ban psychiatric surgery. They got a whole new way to perform surgery. That's when they created the, you know what I'm saying, Trans-Europe Express. They knew that all they had to do was turn up the hertz, the frequency, in the music to fry niggas' non-magnetic particles. They had a whole nother way. Remember, first it was going inside the brain, putting electrodes in the brain. This is in the 30s. To psychosurgery, right? To now, by this time, because we're in the 70s, going into the 80s, that's when they turned the frequency up to 144 megahertz, if I'm right, 140-something megahertz. So they turned up the frequency, and that fried in the Negro area, and that started to fry the non-magnetical particles in the brain. They knew how to do it. They just get better and better. They found a way. You say no, we find another way. If we can't, that way niggas would never know. So when I say, I was saying in the city of Atlanta where niggas highly populate, that these towers attacking us, right? That's what I would say. These towers they putting up is attacking us and causing us to actually go crazy on each other, right? But by this time, newbie, this is the year 1990, coming into the year 2000. You hear me? But listen, I'm talking crazy. I'm talking fucking crazy. Niggas are saying I'm talking crazy. That's some conspiracy shit. You hear me? Which, of course, thanks to Trump, the goddamn declassified files of everything, CIA, FBI, everything declassified. You go right into that, you'll find out that they open up a form of government, a department in the government, and they created the word conspiracy theory and was playing it out, throwing it out before we was born in the 1950s. They said we have to create something. When we are being exposed, we have to create, when someone comes and exposes us of what we're doing, they created a conspiracy theory division. And I'm going to keep repeating this shit. I want y'all to watch it, and read it. It's declassified, bitch. And pumped it out to USA Today, to Time Magazine, Life Magazine. This is in the 50s now, when damn near everything you had to read. New York Times, all that type of shit. And start whatever people knew to be true, believed to be true, from a insider, military insider, or a person that experienced it, what the military or government or hospitals had done to them. They will write an article and say this person is crazy and it's a conspiracy theory. And people will read that, and the word conspiracy theory has become you crazy, you're conspiracy theory. You know what I'm saying? It's not real. The same way when we watch Dr. Emmanuel explain with proof, she had 300 to 600 patients. She used you know what on, this was 2 years ago, 2020 or 2019, I can't remember now, and cured them motherfuckers. What did the media say? The bitch was crazy. They went into her life. Facebook snatched her page down, deleted all her videos. They fucking took her license. If I'm that crazy, why take my license? If I'm a conspiracy theorist, why take my license? Why you shut me down? If what I did to treat, you know what, with 600 patients in Texas, why I'm being treated like that? The media body slammed the created lies around her and everybody at this point. When we start posting her explanation, her explaining what this so-called C-19 is, people in the comments was repeating what the media told them about her. Remember that? I ain't gonna forget that shit. That shit was just last year. The fuck? Now let's move on. You also need an institutional commitment to absolutely pristine science and the guts to tell the Peter Breggins of the world to stuff it. He long added, referring to the psychiatrist Peter Breggins' lifelong battle to ban psychiatric surgery. Now, back to this. I'll give y'all more probably in a new day. I read last little shit. Results for the first violence initiative. Look it up. Results for the first violence initiative. Overall, the center's activities, supported by other activists and organizations around the country, resulted in victory over the first violence initiative. The most effective activists were found in the Black community, especially the Black Congressional Caucus, Louis Stokes, D-Ohio, and Ronald Dellums, D-California. became founding members of the Center's Board of Directors and have remained with the Center for the past 20 years. The single most important media event was probably an article in Ebony magazine written by B.J. Mason in 1973, in which he exposed the whole racist agenda. Ebony magazine, written 1973, B.J. Mason. Now, again, I'm reading the Journal of African American Men. In a surprising coalition, white conservatives in the U.S. Senate were also instrumental in opposing some aspects of the First Violence Initiative, especially the resurgence of psychiatric brain surgery. Their chief concern was not racial justice, but morality. To many of them, tampering with the brain for emotional or behavioral control robbed individuals of personal responsibility and was therefore unethical. Oh, here's another part of this whole towers that they start setting up in the Negro area, highly populated niggas, right? And Nubi, you should know this. I know you should, but I know you know this. So they turn the frequency up. What day of the week do they turn the frequency up? Thursday. That's why niggas become a bat out of hell. They start turning the frequency up on Thursday. So by Friday, they damn near antsy and wired. By Saturday, all hell breaks loose. And you notice by Sunday, they start to turn the frequency back the fuck down. So niggas are more calmer by Monday, more docile by Monday when they go to fucking work. And then they turn that bitch back up on Thursday. Start paying attention if you're in them highly populated areas. Start studying. You can feel it. You can feel the difference. Like right now, I feel it, and it's Wednesday. It's calm, ain't it? It's calmer. It's calmer. They start turning the frequency up by Thursday. By Friday, you want to get out there and kill yourself. Do some of the most destructive shit. Kill yourself, influence others. Let's kill each other tonight. Let's go to the bar and get super fucking drunk and pass the fuck out. They got you on a deadly fucking mission by Friday when you get the fuck off, and Saturday. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. At this point, you so goddamn calm, you want to get dressed, clean up very well, maybe, and just sit there and stay at the fucking wall and get ready for a calm-ass Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But you can feel it. It's in the air, the frequency when they turn that shit up and when they turn it back down. Why you don't feel the same way you felt on Saturday? But now, in the Negro area, right, thanks to your mayors that y'all celebrate, your Black Devil mayors, that every day is a fucking holiday. Right, Nubi? In the black areas. And what I mean by that is simply all the clubs are open Monday through goddamn Sunday, Sunday through Sunday. Sunday through Sunday. Alcohol is sold on Sundays now, so you can always stay in a Las Vegas mindset. That's how they got the niggas now. Yeah, in a Las Vegas mindset. Yep. So the frequency stay turned up in like major cities where Nubians heavily populate. It ain't no more turning it off on Sunday and turning it back up on Thursday. That shit is it's on. It's on. Yep. All right. And of course, on the other side of town, which niggas never really pay attention to, because then it turns up the frequency on your ass, is that on the other side of town, when they tried to put them towers in them Caucasian neighborhoods, them motherfuckers protested, they fought their ass off, they went to the city council, cuss them out, threaten them motherfuckers, and we won't vote for your bitch ass again. We hate y'all for this shit. You better not. You better not allow them motherfuckers to goddamn bring this shit around our children, our schools, our neighborhoods, our parks. None of that shit. Caucasians is protesting that shit because niggas are so full of distractions, they would never see it coming, right? So full of distractions. But Caucasians, they keep an eye on who the fuck that is in the neighborhood with a big ass truck. What the fuck are you putting up? Big difference. Big fucking difference. All right. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Because this is a lot. Because that's the first violence initiative I just read, and I'm gonna give y'all the last little bit because now we got to get into the Rishi monkeys and the inner city youth. The Rishi monkeys are those that are RH positive. Okay, got it? So look, this Rishi monkey, they got a program called a Rishi monkey and the inner city youth, boo-boo. That's the second violence initiative. So let me finish the first violence initiative, and you already got your Black Caucus, Congressional Caucus involved now. We're in 1973. And I'll finish this off, and whatever y'all want to discuss, we can discuss. But, I probably got another one for you, too. In a surprising coalition, this is still part of the first violence initiative. In a surprising coalition, white conservatives in the U.S. Senate was also instrumental in opposing some aspects of the first violence initiative, especially the resurgence of psychiatric brain surgery. The chief concern was not racial justice, but morality. To many of them, tampering with the brain for emotional or behavioral control robbed individuals of personal responsibility and was therefore unethical. After the debacle of the late 1970s, leaders of biological psychiatry avoided linking their efforts to anything that might be construed as a racist political agenda. Unhappily, they could not be silenced or held in check indefinitely. The rise of violent crime, renewed racism, and economic stresses in the early 1990s provided them fertile ground. The polarization of the country was symbolized this second time around by a tragic political reality. Unlike their position in the first round, conservatives would support the new biological racism. And now we're in the second violence initiative, the Rishi monkey and the inner city youth. We're in the 90s now. Y'all want me to continue? We're in the 90s, baby. The Rishi monkeys and the inner city youth. I'll continue. Conservatives, yeah. The new biological racism. They're about to support in the 1990s, in the early 1990s. I don't know if they were Republicans or not, baby. You know me, I don't be knowing them words. I found out conservatives and liberals and shit when I started fucking with smart niggas that listened to CNN and Fox and figured out what those words were, who was and what was for. You know what I'm saying? You hear me? Yeah. You know, white men teach niggas. White men didn't teach me. So I learned what the white man has taught niggas about when niggas, what a conservative and Republican. I got confused like a motherfucker. Conservative and liberal. So I don't know which side they're talking about right now, but let's just assume if we had a nigga that was talking about cracker watching a lot of political motherfucking stations, let's say in the 1990s, conservatives was also Republican. No, I don't know. You know you got me, I don't know. The second violence initiative, let's just go on to this shit. Yeah, because I got another hour on this bit, so let's just deal with this shit. The second violence initiative, Rishi Monkeys in the Inner City Youth, at the head of now disbanded alcohol, drug abuse, and mental health administration. The name of that is called the ADAMHA. You believe this shit? ADAMHA. ADAMHA. You hit it? And it stands for Alcohol, Drug Abuse, Mental Health Administration, newbie. ADAMHA, like Adama Project. Okay? ADAMHA. They know how to play on words, don't they? And it stands for Alcohol, Drug Abuse, Mental Health Administration. Incredible. So you got a psychiatrist by the name of Frederick Goodwin, was the federal government's highest-ranking psychiatrist and one of the world's leading biological psychiatrists. He was thrust into the hot light of national media attention in early 1992 after he allegedly made remarks that compared inner-city youth to monkeys who live in a jungle and who just want to kill each other, have sex, and reproduce. This is 1992, okay? The statements in question were made at a February 11th meeting of the prestigious National Advisory Mental Health Council. One person in attendance, an African-American government employee, was offended enough to phone the Washington Post. 10 days of escalating media debate and criticism ensued, at the end of which Goodwin issued an apology. On February 21st, 1992, he said he had learned all too painfully that the absence of malice or bad intentions does not excuse the sensitivity of his comments. Adding, this is what he added, in an effort to shed light on the violence problem, I juxtapose primate research to the problems in our cities in a careless way. I regret this insensitivity. Hear this? So, media controversy continued, but as yet no one had seen the actual transcript of Goodwin's speech to the National Advisory Mental Health Council. Meanwhile, Goodwin resigned as head of ADAMHA, but Louis Sullivan immediately appointed him to a post he was already scheduled to assume, and that is director of the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH. Goodwin remained well placed to lead the violence initiative. Defending Goodwin, the media coverage of Goodwin's apparently racist remarks were considerable, and Congress John Conyers, chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, demanded Goodwin's resignation. But then Conyers came under fire from the Wall Street Journal in March 9, editorial titled "The Speech Police." The Washington Post followed with an editorial on March 21st, "The Fred Goodwin Case," stating that an otherwise great scientist and psychiatrist had made an unfortunate slip. The newspaper commented, "This is the political high season. When the going got tough, Dr. Fred Goodwin was out." Discovering the Second Violence Initiative. What year are we? 1992. Don't forget. We left the 30s, now left the 60s and 70s. Now we're in 1992, baby. Discovering the Second Violence Initiative. In an effort to lend support to Congress, Congressman John Conyers, Ginger Ross Bregan, and I visited his office on March 17, 1992. There we read the newly arrived verbatim transcript of Goodwin's remarks to the National Advisory Mental Health Council. The transcript not only confirmed Goodwin's comparison between monkeys and the inner city youth, it contains something far more threatening. The government was indeed planning a program, listen, of urban biomedical social control aimed at identifying and treating children with presumed genetic and biological vulnerabilities that might make them prone to violence in later years. See that? What year is this? 1992, baby. Biomedical social control aimed at identifying and treating children with presumed genetic and biological vulnerabilities that might make them prone to violence in later years. Question, boys and girls, where would they find all these children at? Or where would they set up shop to sift out these children? You're not going to be able to answer that. No, nigga. It's not the hood, baby. It's the schools. It's the schools. You got to know that's how they're going to find them. That's how then, boom, you get a letter sent home from the child and some bitch on the fucking phone saying, oh, we found. As a matter of fact, this is when they start placing white teachers who actually work for the federal government, infiltrating the black schools. Started putting white teachers in black goddamn schools, right? Like, let's say a white teacher is in the school of teaching at George Washington Carver Elementary, George Washington Carver Middle School or some shit. They started throwing fake-ass teachers in that bitch because niggas don't question nothing. Fake white-ass teachers in nigger schools in the hood. And the teachers would write dumbass niggas' parents a letter saying your child has some type of behavioral disorder. Sound familiar, right? And we need to speak with you and see if we can get treatment and start performing treatment for this nigga. Trust me, they ain't planted in the hood. They are planted in the fucking school. I always wonder what the fuck a white bitch and a white man doing teaching in a predominantly black fucking school. No, not even predominantly black. Nothing but niggas in this fucking school. All nigga school. How the hell you, what the fuck you choose to be? All working for and by the government to convince your retarded, stupid parents that something is wrong with you. And all nigga parents there for it. Okay? That's when children start getting right up. Black children started getting right up for no fucking reason because they didn't want to sit down because their legs hurt. But you being what they call it, what the fuck is the word they be using? Disorderly or some shit. I don't fucking know. Then they started creating paperwork on the child. What was them paperwork called? A pink slip, a red slip, a yellow slip, and all of that. The merits and all this type of shit in the nigga fucking school. And more crackers started working there in the nigga fucking school. Building a paper trail on nigga kids, okay? From suspension to ISS and school suspension, started building paperwork. Now, come on now. Shit, the fuck? Yep. And they were planted in the fucking schools, man. They end up being the school psychologists. They end up being the school, like your boy, whatever the fuck his name, Umar Johnson, talking about he a fucking school psychologist or some old shit. Sitting his ass right there. Eventually threaten the mom and dad, if you don't get help for this motherfucker, we're gonna take the baby from you regardless. They love taking the children inside the public school system. And when they take your children, they end up putting them on drugs, put them in a crazy house, and start doing tests, psychosurgery on them motherfuckers. That's the same shit that happened to Keita's son. They took him because this nigga knew that none of these things happened to him. They took him from school And they tried to coerce him to believe that his mom did all this type of shit to him. These are the white motherfuckers in the nigger school trying to convince him. The younger two children, which were twins at preschool or Head Start age, it's easy to get them, so they conformed to whatever they said Keita did to them. But the oldest boy didn't. So they put that nigga in a mental institution and started drugging his ass the fuck up until he submitted that to what they was trying to convince him that his mama did to him. They drugged him. He was 6, 7 years old. The other babies were 4, so he had to have been 8. And they drugged him so bad that he ended up believing everything they fucking said. Sure did, but it started in the school. That's why I tell motherfuckers never put their children in the fucking school. They're too young. They can tell them anything. And if they're young enough, they can. If they're young enough to know that they can't be convinced by you, you know what I'm saying, lying, they're not finna believe that bullshit because they can recall everything that fucking happened. And if it did happen, they will tell you what the fuck happened. That's why my children end up going to the public school system when they were in middle school. You know what I'm saying? Starting at 10, 11 years old. You got me fucked up. I know how y'all do this shit. But it all starts in the fucking school. That's where it starts. It don't start at you taking your baby to Walmart and somebody following your ass all throughout that shit and filing a report because you didn't want to give your baby some cookies at Walmart. It's that fucking school. Keep them away. Anyway, discovering the second violence. So now we know that, where are we? Oh, the government was indeed planning a program of urban biomedical social control aimed at identifying and treating children with presumed genetic and biological vulnerabilities that might make them prone to violence in later years. Goodwin described this inner city psychiatric intervention as one of the planning initiatives that is the top priority of the agency now for its planning for the future. And what we mean here is the 1994 budget. Because now you got to pay them teachers. Your black school board would love to hire some white people. So these fake-ass government budget is based on implanting these white fucking teachers in the Negro schools while they still get a check from the school board paying them. But you can't tell the all-black school board that you sent by the government to infiltrate your goddamn black-ass schools and post up as a teacher and work in the front office and work as a psychiatrist and all of that type of shit. No, you just audition and you get the fucking job. Niggas don't hire a cracker any fucking way. Because niggas believe they have higher learning and they have all the fucking cures that can help their Negro community. This is still why they go and vote. This is, what up, King? This is still why they believe in Jesus and his white-ass daddy. This is still why they believe in all that shit, that white people can help them. This is still why they believe that they can be equal to a white person. This is still why they believe all this shit. White people are better than niggas, and we need as much as white people we can get to help us get better. But all the white people in your society that runs your school system, that runs damn near everything a nigga needs, you still in the worst state you was in. Still in the worst state, believing that these crackers know everything and they here to help your dumb ass. Even a white doctor, nigga will refuse a black doctor. Okay? That white doctor treat you better, nigga. I ain't met a white doctor yet. I ain't met a white doctor yet, I tell you. It'll treat you better. But anyway, let's go. So they got this budget, 1994 budget, to infiltrate your nigga hoods by way of your nigga schools and your nigga health department. Goodwin emphasized NIMH's unique expertise and role in identifying the vulnerable and individual, the youngster, who might grow up to be violent. He spoke of early detection and preventative intervention. While he acknowledged that psychosocial variables do contribute to crime, he focused on psychiatric concepts of impulsivity, biological correlates, and genetic factors. He said that genetic factors in violence and crime are very strong. He discussed the need to identify specific populations for extensive and expensive productive interventions. Because the interventions would be costly, it would be necessary to narrow your focus on your population that you are going to intervene in to hone down to something under 100,000. Goodwin noted the public's concern over violent crime and suggested that there would be more political support or leverage for focusing on individuals rather than on social reform or large social engineering of society. Let's just go after the niggas. He cited gun control as an example of social engineering that would draw less support than focusing on individual criminals. It was in this overall context that Goodwin had made his comparison between inner city youth and monkeys in a jungle. If you look, for an example, at male monkeys, especially in the wild, roughly half of them survive to adulthood. The other half die by violence. This is the natural way of it for males, to knock each other off, and in fact, there are some interesting evolutionary implications of that because the same hyper-aggressive monkeys who kill each other are also hypersexual. So they copulate more and therefore they reproduce more to offset the fact that half of them are dying. Now, one could say that if some of the loss of structure in this society, and particularly in the high-impact inner-city areas, has removed some of civilizing evolutionary things that we have built up, and that maybe it isn't just careless use of the word when people call certain areas of certain cities jungles, that we may have gone back to what might be more natural, without all the social controls that we have imposed upon ourselves as a civilization over thousands of years in our own evolution. This is Mr. Whiting there. In March 1992, immediately after we obtained the transcript of Goodwin's remarks to the National Advisory Mental Health Council, we began to organize a national campaign against the government's plans. We started by sending out hundreds and eventually thousands of reports from the Center for the Study of Psychiatry and Psychology, and by attempting to arouse media interest. Now, this is Goodwin at the American Psychiatric Association. Ready? By the spring of 1992, the government was trying to evade the fact that Goodwin had drawn over his comparison between monkeys and urban youth living in a jungle. Our efforts to interest the media and the nation in the even our efforts to interest the media and the nation in the even more ominous concrete plans for the violence initiative met with little initial success. I'm not reading that again, but then on May 5th, we're in the year 92 now. Then on May 5th, Goodwin spoke to the annual convention of the American Psychiatric Association on the subject of conduct disorder as a precursor precursor to adult violence and substance abuse. It would be the last time he elaborated in a public forum on his views about violence prevention. After carefully couching his remarks, Goodwin reached his main interest, focus on the violent-prone individual. He brought up the genetic question and stated as if it were a proven fact. This is what he said. There is a genetic contribution to antisocial personality disorder. According to Goodwin, while the genetic factor in crime and violence is not overwhelming, it is a prerequisite. Without directly saying so, he was making clear that violent inner-city men have a predisposing genetic makeup. Finding the preliminary plan. Under the Freedom of Information Act, we submitted requests to the government for all documents pertaining to biological and medical research into violence and Goodwin's proposed inner-city intervention. Stuffed within one large batch of papers was an unsigned 3-page document dated March 9, 1992 that bears a striking resemblance to Goodwin's May 1992 speech at APA. It may have been a draft that was prepared prior to the outbreak of the controversy. This document indicates that as of March 1992, someone in NIMH, very possibly Goodwin himself, was relating the violence initiative to pharmacological intervention, specifically including Prozac. That's when we started to find out that a bunch of niggas was on Prozac. I never knew. All I knew was the drugs that the government planted, like heroin, cocaine, and shit like that. I didn't know that the government also had some pharmaceutical type shit that was even better than the crack and the heroin niggas was on, and niggas had to literally go to a doctor to get that, then go to a pharmacy to get the fucking Prozac. I didn't know nothing of so-called medical drug, but remember, this is biomedical. This whole shit is based on biomedical. Crack ain't do it, baby. Heroin ain't do this shit. Biomedical is what they was after, inducing Negroes into the biomedical side. Bam, Prozac. First time I ever heard the word. Okay? I knew marijuana, I heard of crack, I heard of heroin, but never fucking Prozac. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit? Who would have known? People in white coats was giving it to niggas. Was there a written plan? We always suspected that Goodwin's speeches, with their emphasis on individual vulnerability, biological, and genetics, reflected a formal written plan for the 1994 budget. It was not until later in our campaign that a source who wishes to remain anonymous provided us with a 9-page, single-space, typewritten manuscript entitled Violent Behavior, Etiology, and Early Intervention. The heading identifies it as a section from ADMA 1994 plan and document, and Secretary of DHHS Louis Sullivan confirmed its authenticity as ADMA's proposed violence initiative for the 1994 budget. It probably dates from the first months of 1992 or earlier. The plan's one-paragraph abstract summarizes that minority populations are disproportionately affected, and then points to, quote, an emerging scientific capacity to identify the individual determinants of behavior at the biochemical, psychological, and social/environmental levels. The proposal further states, although the problem is societal in scope, Our solutions must reflect increasing scientific and clinical capacities to isolate and target the individual determinants of violence, end quote. It emphasizes that ADAMHA will focus on individual vulnerability factors. The 1994 budget planning document maintains that the precursor of violent behavior are evident at an early age, as the precursors of future violent behaviors. It lists a broad spectrum of childhood behaviors: physical aggression, deviant behavior, attention deficit, and hyperactivity manifest early on. I remember when I was going to school in the 90s, and it hit in the 90s, the first time I ever heard the word was attention deficit, AD. Started creating that shit. Remember that? AD? That shit was there by the time we got into school. AD, attention deficit. Anyway, then they added ADD, attention deficit disorder, right? But it was attention deficit in the 90s, AD. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not paying attention to that bullshit you talk. So they were saying that I had AD in school, which is why I would always walk out the classroom and shit in the 90s, leaving the late 80s, early 90s. No, you suck. You suck as a teacher. Your information is fucking boring. I'm not interested, so I walk out. Right? And they said I had attention deficit. No, you whack at keeping my attention. You know what I'm saying? Even niggas in my life today, I got an attention deficit on their ass too. You can't keep my attention. I'm not listening. You suck. You ain't saying shit. You ain't saying nothing I fucking need to hear. You just running your fucking mouth. I'm not listening. You on mute in my head. So, Grandma, what you got? They involuntarily mandated most of that. Ding, 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 ding. That right? All right, so y'all ready for the goal? The goal is to develop new treatment approaches for the targeted children to tailor clinical as well as population-based intervention to these behavioral risk factors. ADAMHA, that's their little project, ADAMHA will stress the importance of individual risk factors in identifying who are likely to engage in violent behavior. These treatments are linked to genetic abnormalities in brain chemistry, perhaps most potentially menacing the planned proposed research centers for the testing of a variety of interventions aimed at the individual, family, and community. Did y'all get that? Because I was thinking about something else while I was reading, because AD just popped up. Thinking about something else. These treatments are linked to genetic abnormalities in the brain chemistry. You must have did too, newbie. You got AD? You were listening but wasn't listening. I was reading but wasn't comprehending. Think about some other shit. All right, let's do it. I'll knock it out real quick because now we're going. I got 10 minutes remaining. The goal is to develop new treatment approaches for the targeted children to tailor clinical as well as population-based interventions to these behavioral risk factors. ADAMHA will stress the importance of individual risk factors in identifying and treating those who are likely to engage in violent behavior. These treatments are linked to genetic abnormalities in brain chemistry, perhaps most potentially menacing the planned proposed research centers for the testing of a variety of interventions aimed at the individual, the child, the mom and daddy, and your whole motherfucking community. They say they coming for an individual. They come for one child. Now we come for your mama and your daddy too. As a matter of fact, we're coming for your neighbors and your children friends. For the whole black-ass community, that's what we coming for. That work for everybody. Everybody. Coming for everybody. Yeah. I'm going to stop there because now we get into the controversy heightened. Niggas finally get a hold to it. In the spring of 1992, talk radio and TV shows with large African-American audiences began responding to our educational campaign, beginning with WPFW, which is a Radio Pacifica network in Washington, D.C., and culminating in the summer with news stories and 2 interview shows on Black Entertainment Television, BET. The government seemed most affected by the response to 2 talk shows. Remember those 2 talk shows? Lead Story and Our Voices. Extensive mainstream media coverage would follow, but African-American show hosts began the process. And once you quiet them niggas, give them some other shit to do, them talk show hosts, they're no longer concerned about your well-being. They start doing celebrity talk and stupid shit like that. They're not telling you, this is it, this is over at the end. They damn near done kill off, they about to start killing off a lot of the niggas who really speak for your ass, killing them off again, quiet them, having you getting away from them, so you won't hear these crazy ass niggas tell you what the white man been doing since the moment this bitch nigga was created in the goddamn science lab, all the way to right now. You don't hear no more white man, black man, white man devil talk. By the time the 90s hit, your parents didn't want to hear no more about that shit. Okay, they want to hear the devil talk, but they only want to hear it in church. And the devil is somebody that God kicked out. But it damn sure can't be the white man. That's how this whole shit started. This is why. Oh, and voting. And voting. And voting. That's it. Vote. Vote and go to church. When you're in church, they encourage you to vote. That's it. So I'm going to stop right there. The controversy heightened, and we'll get into the whole BET. And mind you, this is still 1992, the spring. And watch all this shit is quiet down, and it's only quiet down because they don't want you to know what else they are doing to you niggas. And I knew it when they started making comments publicly saying we need the black people to get drunk and get all the shots at the bar. This is why, again, we are on Lockdown Radio again. NICOLEONE Radio is terminated. NICOLEONE TV is terminated because they don't want niggas to know that they still focusing on genocide on your ass, your children ass, your mom and daddy ass. Biochemical warfare is still at niggas. They put the most food poisoning in your nigga community. All types of shit. The most poison in the frequency from your nigga music. They are still doing it. All the towers were first put up in heavily populated Negro community. The 5G was first put where all niggas at. Caucasians in their little small rural towns that were smart to stay the fuck away from big city niggas was able to protest, try to fight to get that shit not put there. But niggas don't understand that there's another motherfucker that comes like a thief in the night, nigga, and it damn sure ain't Jesus. And niggas will never see it coming. They turn them frequency up on niggas, they'll never see it coming. And they got some of these uppity niggas that got a little money now, got a little sense about themselves, got a little self-made book smart amongst these crackers, and they feel like the world is safer and all this fucking shit, and none of this shit is fucking true. It's just a fucking conspiracy. All that type of shit. while they live in their best motherfucking life, but they totally forget there's a part in Genesis. And what does Genesis mean? Your genealogy, your genes. That know for sure that you're going to be in a strange land that is not yours. And you should serve them motherfuckers. But it said by the fourth generation, that's you and me, the 1970s, baby. By the fourth generation, we shall come hither with great substance, right? Now we got Mercedes, Jaguars, fucking nice-ass cars, living in condos. Our neighbors are Caucasians, mainly. So they're going to come out. The fourth generation will come out in great substance, but nigger, what it say. But look here, you niggas who think you got great substance now. Think you can afford to buy anything for your kids and yourself and shit. The iniquity of the Amorites is not yet fulfilled. And I'm about this motherfucker. You forgetful beings. Y'all have an awarding day.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.